Always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back for week number 4 of the ECAC Top 8 Plays of the Week. Now, at this point, you're probably realizing two things. One, that's right, I'm going to be with you all season long as we jump through the best moments of every week. And number 2, wow, Septilence really only wears one thing when he's not on the clock. And I can't even defend myself, it's a comfortable outfit. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into week number 4 and see what these players brought to the table to beat out their opponents and be victorious. Wake Forest was already up a game, there were 4 minutes left on the clock, and they just couldn't find that first point to take the lead and put them up 2-0 in the series. But in a final moment of success, Malone clears it from one coast to another and finds an open goal, giving Wake Forest the lead once again.
These Champ 3 and Champ 2 is doing. I mean, seriously, look at Malone making advantages for himself.
Wow.
And he will put Wake Forest on the map. This game number 5 could just go their way.
I just want to say Malone just said, I'm going to show you what a Champ 3 can do. All right, buddy?
On a control map in Overwatch, your team must capture 100% of a point to succeed. 99 just won't cut it. King Rock from Keene University was fully aware of that and didn't just find a Death Blossom. He found a full-blown Death Garden to keep his team alive.
Sound barrier to go away as well, especially now that you have your own. It's going to be a little bit more breathing room. Doesn't look like the Winnico. Okay, there we are. Now it's coming up big. This Reaper has bloomed.
That was just gorgeous amount of patience coming.
GVSU Blue found themselves up by 5 rounds, and it's always better to turn that 5 into a 6. It's incredible, however, that this team doesn't always need all 5. It can come down to just one player and how much they can really GVS do.
An Illusion delivers with efficiency. 3 in a row. No time left, even if they had the chance at Orbital Strike out of the last.
This battle between Muskingum and St. Francis was insanely close. Only 3 players in a round, and there were 1 player left on both sides, both down to their final stock. Things were looking pretty strong for St. Francis, their Luigi only at 40%, but it was up to Splat to do anything but.
Just keep him off stage with that Zare. Oh, that's spot right here for Teo.
If that block didn't disappear,
oh
no way!
Oh, just steps on the
pressure plate.
A tale as old as time, Pace White versus Pace Gold, and Pace White's morale was through the roof as they won a fight, but little did they know, this was Lofi's world, and they wouldn't be living in it for much longer.
Going in with the blade.
Uh-oh, Blade is out. It's hacked. It doesn't matter, though. Slashes away for 2. Looking for a 3rd. Looking for 4. Won't get it just yet on the Blade. However, the slash and dash works out. Lofi's got 3. Looking for everybody else on this team. It's a white.
We're at the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup. Let's make some noise.
Oh, and it's going to be
what? Corner judges go for 1, 2, yeah. He needs more.
They're doing even more here. You gotta touch the point. Mr. College walks it in.
Toy Boy is going to drop.
Knife him.
Right out front.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, running.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting night of college esports right here on Esports U Live. I'm your host, Paulie Hype, and before we get into the action tonight on the channel, I want to do a quick recap of what we saw last night on Thursday, February 9th, right here on Esports U Live. We saw the ECC Valorant Week Number 1 kickoff, and it was 2 schools featuring Utica University versus New York Tech Blue. We're starting off with a bang for the ECC as we have 2 of the semifinals from the fall 2022 semester, NYIT and Utica University. The first half was super close as both teams just kept swapping round wins until we came to a 6-6 half, dead on even, heading into the second half of the game. It was looking a lot better in the second half for Utica as players like Anchor came alive in some clutch situations. Ascent, map number 2, went into the hands of Utica as it ended 13-6 before we headed over to map number 2, Pearl. It may have been close in the last game, but it was one Utica did not lose any momentum as they did not hold back in the early rounds. NYIT's Visor tried hard to keep his team alive, but in the end, Utica claimed victory to start off the ECC season strong. Congratulations, Utica University, who took that first Valorant Week 1 match in the ECC 2-0 over New York Tech Blue. We only had one match, and now over to the action for this evening. It's a wonderful Friday. We are here for more college esports, and you know what Fridays mean right here on Esports U Live? It means League of Legends, which one of my favorite games. Super excited for it as we are taking over now to the conference of the ECAC. This is going to be their top division, Division A, Platinum and above rank. League of Legends 5-on-5. It's going to be a best of 3 tonight right here on the channel. And we'll be featuring 2 schools, Pace League of Legends Gold and UAlbany League of Legends. On the Pace roster, we have Nitro, Kasai, Rue, Capper Jack, KX, and Zoxan. Over on the UAlbany roster, we have Azareth, Super Ben, Wheezy, Cryo, Carlius, Stew Dog, and 2Moo002. I love some of those names. They'll be duking it out tonight in the ECAC conference to see who is the best this week in League of Legends. All that action and more right here at 8 p.m. EST following this beautiful talk. So without further ado, let's get hype here. It's Friday. We're closing out the week beautifully. I can't stand suits, and I don't want to wear this one in another second. So before we get on over to League of Legends, casters, take it away and bring us some of that amazing college esports League of Legends hype and knowledge. Casters, over to you.
Well, Paulie, that was one hell of an intro. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 2 of the ECAC, where we are indeed set to see the matchup between Pace University and UAlbany. It is a great matchup for you guys. Both these teams coming into this week undefeated. I am Horizon Cast, joined by Shibby. Shibby, how you feeling tonight, man?
Ooh, it's a cool summer or spring breeze for me, man. It's 5 p.m. I'm in the past. I'm in Pacific Standard Time right now, so it's pretty cool here. That's why I don't got a fancy suit like you, man. Yeah.
Oh man,
I'm excited.
I'm super excited for this one. It feels good to be back in the swing of things. Brand new season of the ECAC. We're only 1 week into it now. This is week 2, so a lot to expect from these teams as the season continues to go forward. Again, as we just highlighted, both these teams 1-0. So, Shibby, kind of talk to me a little bit. Like, what is it for these teams to be 1-0? Like, what's the pressure for them wanting to make sure that they kind of continue their winning spree or build the winning spree going into week 3?
Momentum, Horizon. That's what you want to keep going. If you're that unstoppable train, nobody's going to be able to stop you, right? You're going to plow through every single team. So for both of these teams being 1-0, you want to just keep that vibe going, keep that energy going, because it is really rough going into a week after you're losing. You're doing the VOD review, you're looking at your mistakes, right? If you're a player, and you're going, oh man, I could have played that better. Your coach is maybe talking to you like, hey, you could have done this a little bit better. It's a lot easier to keep that momentum going when you're coming into the week with the win. So I expect both of these teams to kind of go all out and really flex their muscles, especially because, Horizon, we're on a new patch.
Oh yeah, baby. We are on a brand new shiny patch, and with that patch came a couple of notable changes, specifically the Aurelian Soul changes, which we are duty-bound to inform you will not see this week. Actually, it has been outlawed by ECAC because it is a brand new champ, so obviously if there are any bugs or any other problems with the champion, they want Riot to have time to fix it, so we won't see it this week. But we do have other things we get to see this week, and Shibby, I think that's what we need to talk about. What are some of the champions, some of the roles that we should be expected to seeing as we get into this draft?
Melee supports are back. Horizon, the Alistar, the Braum, the biggest, beefiest, juiciest boys are back into the bot lane. No more of these ranged AD.
Get them out of here.
No more Umbral Glaive. I don't want to see that anymore. We're finally going to get to see some brawl action down in the bot lane. Some standard, tradition, smash mouth League of Legends, and that's what I like to see. As the Nami is actually going to get banned out by Albany here, and Pace gonna ban out the Pantheon here. I still think a lot of these teams, unfortunately, they haven't had a lot of time on the patch. It just dropped yesterday, so I can't expect them to be like, oh yeah, we have a lot of scrim time on it, we can do it. But I guarantee you, we've got some big beefy support boys here, right? There's got to be a Nautilus or an Alistar player somewhere in this draft.
Hopefully they haven't all just left the server for greener pastures. Hopefully they're coming back. It's time to put our tinfoil hats on, if you will. We talked about some of those melee supports. Obviously, Nami banned away, so that hopefully that will take the Lucian Nami pairing that we've been seeing so much across pro play and collegiate. So obviously you talked about the double marksman. What are we thinking in terms of trying to draft some of these early compositions? Like, what role is going to be really important for these teams to lock down and play towards, especially in the early stages of the game?
I think it's no secret, Horizon. Me and you know both that bot lane is just so important, right? You want to get that winning bot lane matchup. You want to potentially save your counter pick for support, what we've seen a lot of teams in different regions do, where they want to get that advantageous bot lane matchup. But Pace gonna lock in that Elysia. Nice early game centric jungler, gets a lot of gank power off, and there's one piece of that humongous and overpowered bot lane coming into effect. The Caitlyn matched up with the Udyr. We're going to see some farming. We're going to see some abuse put down by Albany here.
Yeah, interesting that they've already decided to go ahead and split the Kate from any of her traditional laning partners, maybe something like an Ashe or a Lux. So obviously Pace will be able to steal something like that away. I do want to highlight, though, a champion, a big boy we've not seen in a while. Udyr making a return to the Rift for a first time in a long time, Shibby.
Yeah, I think the jungle changes kind of have favored him a little bit as the Braum gets locked in here. You know, the less gold, more experience, you'd kind of just push these junglers, that power farm a bit more into that more like, all right, I'm not going to full clear, I'm going to cycle my camps, I'm going to cycle your camps while I cycle my camps and just get a huge CS lead, right? Like, that's what he wants to do. When you're on the bot side, sorry, your Krugs are gone, your Wolves are gone, whatever, I'm taking everything here. Udyr is just a lawnmower and he's going to tear through your jungle, as we are seeing the Aphelios Braum being locked in. A classic matchup into Kate. Aphelios has the range, has the different guns, and if QE can kind of get that Aphelios gun rolling, he can really start taking over a lot of these team fights.
I think that's his combo. I'm pretty sure he just told the team exactly what he's going to do with his username. He says, these are all the buttons I'm pressing. I'm not pressing anything else. Are missing from that lineup, but hopefully he'll find time to press it, because I feel this is a champion that we don't see a lot of, and I think for a pretty good reason. Obviously, now that marksmen are really heavily back into the meta, I think this is a champion that we could have expected to see for a while, but I think his power is kind of his lack of power has kind of turned some teams off for playing him. But now that we have the Bruiser ADCs back, now that we have those big old meatballs in the bot lane, I think we can expect to see the Aphelios coming out more, because he does have that additional safety.
Yeah, and he also plays really well into like these more enchanter poke supports, right? You have the added defense with the Braum. He can block the Piltover Peacemaker, he can block the Karma Mantra Q, and just allows him to kind of safely farm the lane. And once he hits that 2-3 item power spike, I mean, Horizon, we know what Aphelios does. We've seen it time and time again. This guy can just take fights over with like Severum, Infernum, Calibrum, depending on what gun he has into the fight. As now, Pace have opted into banning quite a few top laners here. Pantheon, Gangplank, Aatrox, and Darius, they've definitely done their research, and Karelius is going to have to go onto something that he might not be comfortable with.
Yeah, it's interesting to see all of those heavy AD bans. This would be really spicy if they locked this Tryndamere, and that might be a preventative answer to the Cassante. Oh, I would love to see that locked in. They do. They're going to pick that one. Okay, Pace. They need to counter pick in top lane. What are some of the matchups that Tryndamere does not like to play?
I mean, you could go something heavy scaling as well, right? You could go something more team fight oriented. It's really hard to match Tryndamere in the side lane once the 3-4 items come in. Also, the crit changes crucially, right? Navori being activated at 40% crit. I mean, this guy's just going to be spinning everywhere, right? I love the preemptive Trynd pick. Like you said, it kind of counters the Cassante, and they're just going to opt in for the matchup. As long as you can take the Trynd out of fights, you can keep him off your Aphelios, you can keep him off your Braun. Cassante's job in these team fights is not to fight and beat Tryndamere, it's just simply remove him from the fight and tackle him afterwards.
Yeah, I like that they were had enough forethought to go ahead and draft into that. So very interesting to see how that top lane matchup will go. As we're waiting to see what they're going to lock in the mid lane. Diana, another champion we've not seen for at least a good year and a half. This champion was nerfed so heavily in the mid lane, but that will be coming out for Pace. So interested to see now. UAlbany, they have the final pick here. So some champions I think we could expect to see to be really good. Ryze would be fantastic into this. Diana, obviously Ryze needs no introduction, but Gwen. This could be the flex. This would be really, really risky into the Diana in the early duel, and they're going to lock that in.
I love it. I love the Gwen also into Cassante. Same sort of logic that Tryndamere has, right? High scaling AP damage, Hollowed Mist is really, really good into Cassante. You can block a lot of those abilities. You essentially get a free scaling lane for the Gwen. And once Gwen starts coming into your team, starts shredding you with the needlework, I mean, it is quick work for them. The mid Tryndamere into Diana is fine, right? Diana has those more short bursty trades, but also with Tryndamere, if you can get the crit stack going, if you can get the the crits going, you can get the whirling blade going, then maybe you can look to trade into the Diana. But two heavy scaling lanes with the farming jungler, the only real, I would say, priority you have for Albany is that Caitlyn Karma lane in the bot. So I expect a lot of dragon control from Albany. But Pace, I mean, they can get the ball rolling with earlier heralds, early top pressure with the Cassante, and Diana can look to pressure and roam consistently onto this bot lane if she so pleases.
I absolutely agree with you. And when you look at this UAlbany comp in terms of like some of the priority that they're going to have, one of the things that they're going to have to balance is something that is noticeably missing for these champions, which is reliable CC. Outside of Udyr just running at somebody and stunning, or maybe Karma landing that tether, they have no reliable ways to lock down any of these members of Pace. And Pace, credit where credit is due with this draft, they have drafted very, very intelligently in terms of being able to draft themselves disengage and partial engage on their own side. Like Braum, you have his ultimate to engage with that. Cassante is a great champion for being set up on top of Diana, who has that Moonlight Vigil that she can start off with. So they have some forms of reliable CC, where like UAlbany, it's very sketchy how they actually start off fights.
Yeah, with Albany, I don't ever think they want to fight you, right? They want to win the fight before it starts, right? They have this objective control with the Caitlyn, right? You set up the traps, you set up the Karma poke, you have a big, beefy frontliner with the Udyr who can empower his R and kind of zone you away. I don't suspect Albany to ever take a 5v5, right? If they do, it won't be on their terms, unfortunately. It'll be Pace locking them down, like you said, coming in with the Braum, coming in with the Cassante, maybe a Diana flank as well. Albany always wants to play that range leash game, and once you're low enough, then the dive starts. Then the Tryndamere, Gwen come in from different angles, and they take these very, very unfair fights, whereas they never give Pace the ability to deathball, the ability to kind of just snap of a finger, like you said, Diana engage with the Braum on top of the Aphelios.
Yeah, and that poke coming out from that Caitlyn and that Karma in some of those neutral objective fights is going to be huge, because Pace are so fairly short range, even with the Aphelios, who is going to have to be doing a lion's share of the work and trying to set up for those fights. So you are able to sort of poke out the fights and win it, as you highlighted, before Pace can even get close. Now, the concern that obviously you have is if you're not managing those zones of control correctly, then obviously things get very sketchy very quick, because it's very difficult to get an Elise, a Diana, and a Cassante off of you once they're actually in that engage range. Other thing I wanted to highlight too, when we see these two champions both in the mid of the top lane for UAlbany, is that they do have that Tryndamere and that Gwen, which are historically known to be these massive side lane threats that allow you to set up a 1-3-1 and just split push a team to death.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it, right? They have the Udyr, Caitlyn, Karma for the siege. I think that's really, really good. Caitlyn, one of the best siegers in the game, can set the traps up, throw her mid with Karma and Udyr as protection. You have the Mantra E to get out. Gwen and Tryndamere, like you said, yeah, they're going to have a lot of side lane pressure. It'll be rough to match both of them, right? The best strategy for Pace here is to try to bait a fight with one of the side laners and have Elise shadowing one of the side laners, right? So as soon as the fight breaks out, Elise comes in, makes it a 2v1, and you relieve that pressure. Then you rotate to objective, or you rotate to the mid lane to kind of use your numbers advantage. If you leave Tryndamere and Gwen unchecked in the 1v1s, they're going to take your tower, they're going to take your nexus, they're going to take your life as well if you try to match them 1v1. Once they get to a certain point in the game, the 2-3 item power spike. Specifically, I'm afraid this Tryndamere at 2 items is just going to be a menace.
Yeah, one of the you highlighted too, like with the crit builds that are coming out, especially too with Navor Quick Blades, he's going to do a tremendous amount of consistent damage in these team fights and in the 1v1s. So for me, when I'm looking at these matchups, especially early pathing from junglers, which you and I are big jungle buffs, so we like trying to theorize where these guys are going to go. For me, it's about both Azarath and Nitro getting involved in that top lane quickly. For Nitro, making sure that this Cassante that has been so far a menace on the Rift actually reaches that solo carry potential where nobody on the side of UAlbany can actually answer him in the side lane, including the Tryndamere.
Yeah, I think setting your scaling lanes up for success is really nice. So you don't want to just leave them on the island because they'll get bullied out. They might get froze upon, right? And then if Nitro is there to cover, if Nitro is there just to dive as well with the Elise, they could do a lot of damage to this Tryndamere early, right? He doesn't get that crazy ultimate until level 6. So if they set up that dive, they crash the wave in, Elise is there with the stun, with the turret juggling. I mean, Kusai and Nitro could really do some damage into the Tryndamere. So it's not going to be just Udyr down in that bot lane, although I am a big fan of stepping up and supporting your Caitlyn Karma lane. You always want to provide them that safety net because they're going to play pushed up. That's their MO. They want to shove you under tower, get as many plates as possible, and poke you down. You can't do that if you have no jungle coverage. So it'll be interesting to see how Azarath kind of juggles, like you said, the pressure and kind of feints pressure as well. Like, oh, he could be bot, he could be top. He doesn't really want to keep revealing his position.
Yeah. So Chevy, let's give us the lowdown. What do you expect out of the early couple of levels in the first couple of minutes going into this game for both of these teams? What moves do they need to make these comps work?
I think Elise is going to do like a full clear red side or a full clear blue side into gank, right? He's going to do the level 3, get all of his abilities, then look to probably influence mid or top. He's a lot more CC in the top lane, but also like Diana could provide a lot of damage, right? If you land that cocoon, if you can get that going, I'm pretty sure this Gwen, in the mid lane, if it is Gwen in the mid lane here, she's going to get bullied out and then she could never touch the wave again. Udyr on the other side, really Albany has to do, they just kind of have to wait. They have to wait and wait and wait. Wait for their 1 item, wait for their 2 items, set the objective up with the bot lane. I think Azarath should really play towards this Caitlyn and Karma so they can start stacking dragons early. If they keep that dragon stacking going, they could really potentially roll like a really powerful soul, like the Mountain, like the Infernal, or potentially the new Chemtech soul that is, in my opinion, actually super busted, especially for Albany's team comp.
Yeah, that having that ability to clear out the wards and play for range, I think is going to be super big for them. It's that they can control the vision, and like anything, that's the most important thing that these teams give up is information, where the junglers are and what moves they want to make. And I think you've highlighted excellently, like UAlbany, all they have to do is sit there and they wait. They've got great scaling comps in terms of having the Gwen and the Tryndamere that will be late game threats. But that being said, Pace on the other side, they're no pushovers either. They've got the Cassante, they've got that Aphelios, and they have really reliable ways to start off fights in those instances where they're starting to move from skirmishes to full on 5-on-5s.
I think Pace has to be in the driver's seat, right? Like they have to make Albany play their game. Because if they're even at like the 16, 18 minute mark, then Albany, by all means and purposes, they're fine. They're cruising towards that late game. Albany, you have to set them behind 2,000-3,000 gold so that you can be in a comfortable position to say, hey, we're going to muscle our way into these objectives. We're going to muscle our way into your mid lane, start sieging your mid lane turret, start sieging your bot lane. Because like I said, if Albany is allowed to set up, if they're allowed to just kind of coast through the early game, they're set, right? They'll be able to go into this late game, the 25, 26 minute mark with 2-3 items, and they'll just be able to 5v5 you head on, and you won't be able to do anything about it because unfortunately you didn't set them back far enough.
Yeah. Well, I think we have highlighted as well as we can what these teams are going to have to do. I think there's a lot to be expected out of this first game. And obviously there's some jitters that will come with that. Never sure whether or not a draft will work until you actually get on the Rift. And sometimes you go, hey, this draft is great. And sometimes it's horrible. But there's only one way to find out as we are on to the Rift for game number 1 between Pace and UA. Week 2 of the ECAC league. And it looks like it's just going to be a full bot side rush and top side rush switch. So they're going to pass each other like ships in the night.
Yeah, they won't know anything, right? They're both going to try to get some information, right? Throw the wards down. And that's going to be really crucial because both of these teams want to know where the junglers are starting. They want to know how they're going to path so that the laners can play either super aggressively or, super passively here. Interesting enough, Kusai opted in, instead of going for the teleport ghost that we usually see in the Cassantes, opted in for flash ghost. So very much playing for lane, but not going to be able to match that split push pressure like you mentioned. It's going to be really hard for them to set up objectives, because if Corellius is on the bot side or the top side, he can TP at any moment, and if someone has to match, nobody on the side of Pace has any TPs to kind of follow them to that objective.
Yeah, absolutely right. One of the things I want to highlight too, because we talked about the sort of the gumption of both these teams to try and get vision. I think highlighted that UA actually did take a really, really big risk in trying to invade the way they did, because traditionally you don't invade a Braum. Like, that's kind of one of the no-nos of League of Legends.
I mean, maybe they're playing the mind game, right? They're like, okay, they have a Braum. They'll probably invade us bot side, so let's just completely avoid that, get the countermeasures in, and they're not going to get anything out of it. They're not going to get anything more than we are out of this invade here, as the wards are going down. Jungle Pats starting on the same side here, as mid lane Tryndamere is just aggressively trading into that Diana. So it is a Gwen into Cassante and Tryndamere into Diana here, kind of like we said, Horizon. And so far, Diana has to kind of play with some respect.
Yeah, and this I think is fully what you could have expected out of this matchup. Tryndamere is just traditionally difficult to get on top of in the early levels, but even as I say that, Nitro, he's looking for a gank. He's going to land a stun. They're going to jump in. He's going to whirlwind out, repel up forward. He's ticking with the red buff, but they won't be able to knock him down. He gets away with his life, but he is lucky to do so.
Not even a full 3-camp clear for Nitro. He takes the red and just goes straight beelines it to mid lane here, relieving some of that pressure for Capperjack here, as Cassante gets solo killed by Corellius just in the top lane. Ghost was burned.
Oh, no. Oh, he used that summoner to try and get away out of a level 3 trade. That is so rough, trying to trade into the Gwen like that. And now Nitro, he's going to pick up his blue buff, wondering what happened to his top laner. That is disastrous. And Azarath, he's already invading on this bot side. He wants to make away with a couple of goodies.
Didn't I say, Horizon, he's going to farm his camps, he's going to farm your camps, and then he's going to go back to farming his. That red straight into the gank is going to cost him some chickens.
Yep, and he'll be a little bit hungrier when he goes to discover those have been taken. So a little bit of a camp lead, obviously, for Azarath right now. It won't translate to too much, but Superman wants to get 4 flashes. The flash out from the Diana. That's a huge summoner blown. That's going to be an ability that he's going to wish he has at level 6.
Yeah, it's going to be cool from Super Ben if he can get that rage bar stacking, gets the flash E onto Capperjack here. If Nitro's not here to cover, Diana could easily get solo killed.
Needs to be very careful. Now, Nitro's waiting in the wings. He's going to go ahead and steal away the Raptors, but the Udyr is waiting in the wings. He knows he's here. Nitro, surely there's no way you try and gank this Tryndamere underneath the turret, and he's not going to. He's going to instead trade with Azarath. Now, Capperjack's going to have to run straight to 2 turrets. Superman can look to get onto this anytime he wants to. It's going to be a blast cone over the wall, and they're just going to walk away after trading health bars. Carolus is here. And yeah, FaZe, they need to go ahead and book their way on out of this one because they're getting collapsed on.
Diana might die here as bot lane aggressively trading. Wait a minute, we're not done.
Oh, Azarath, he's going to get the second kill. On top of that, it's 2 unanswered kills for UA. Oh, you get punished for the greed. The Diana goes down. He has no flash, has no ignite, and this lane is going to be all the worse for his Airless. Oh, this kill traded back. Flash, that's the root. What else can they get? Carol's going to get knocked back. Going to have to try to retreat underneath the turret, but can't do so. Is shut down over to Kusai, so he'll be happy to have that one, but ultimately still a net positive trade for UA in the end.
Yeah, that's a call Gwen, by the way, getting those 2 kills. That is quite good for them. The scaling is already kick-started for this Gwen here. She's going to pick up the wave. She's going to TP in. A little bit of a greedy pathing because you didn't see Cassante in the lane, so you kind of had to suspect that maybe he's looking for the jump. Overall, still, like you said, net benefit for UA here. Getting that early game started, which is not something we expected.
Yeah, and the other thing we're talking about unexpected that I wouldn't have expected Carolus to do would be to come back with that Sheen. But I guess wanting to scale more towards that that late game threat where you have the extra gold. Obviously, if you feel like you're not under any threat in the lane, then that's an easy item to pick up. But I would have expected him to go through a little bit of trading power than trying to scale for the late game so far when you do have 2 kills on the Gwen. Nitro?
Nitro is just aggressively coming in.
This is not the way. Oh no, the blast cone doesn't take him to safety. He's gonna try and repel, but there's nowhere to fly, my friend, and they're gonna splat the spider. Udyr's gonna pick up the kill. Oh, UA, they're on the board right now, but Kusai just kills Carolus in the top lane. What is going on up there?
I believe Gwen was trying to dive here, but right now they're trying to push their advantage in the bot lane pace. They gotta get out.
Oh, this is so nasty, and that's going to be Pace Rue, going to be the first one to fall. Diana follows up with a kill of her own, though. Karma falls. But right now, UA get a little bit more off the flash, but he has a flash of his own. It's a double kill for Super Ben, and he's putting all hours right now to try and carry UA through this one. 5 kills so far for them, and about 1,000 gold lead, and they are feeling right on top of the world. 2 kills onto that Tryndamere.
We have been flipped in topsy-turvy land, Horizon. The scaling laners of UA are getting the early game advantage, and the Caitlyn Karma are the ones just scaling for that late game right now. Everything is going UA's way right now. They've collapsed onto the river. Yeah, you get the top lane kill for the Cassante there. A little bit of overzealousness from Corellius here, but overall, UA is on the front foot. They are making the more proactive plays, and it's kind of off of Nitro's over-aggressiveness, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, and this is kind of flying in the face of what we would expect Pace to do. We wanted Pace to be the ones being the aggressors. We wanted them to have their foot on the gas to try and make the proactive plays. And while Nitro is trying to do that, it is at the wrong times and in the wrong place. As a result of that, they have given over a not too bad gold lead over to UA. And most importantly, you have the wrong members if you're Pace getting the kills on UA, because Gwen's already got 2 kills. Trinamir's got 2 kills. Those are champions that you do not want hyper accelerating in this game.
Yeah, they're going to start trending towards their items a lot sooner. They're going to be a lot stronger earlier into the game, and they can start that split push pressure much earlier here. That 1-3-1 can get devastating. It's a comfy 1.5k gold lead for UA here. Now they just have to keep it, right? Corellius got a little bit aggressive, died for his sins twice. He's probably going to play a little bit more passive, like you said. He is going into the Sheen Cassante, but they're trading in the top lane.
Yep, they're just trying to bully each other as much as possible. Nitro, this is an aggressive trade. Does he get the blue buff? Yes, he does manage to. And Azrath now has to get on out of there. He's just going to try and get his grump if he can. Getting poked and picked by the spiders there. But Nitro, unrelenting on this aggression. Credit where credit is due. He has not become gun shy, even despite getting caught in the jungle.
He knows his champion. He knows he has the support from the mid laner. Right now, bot lane can't move because they're kind of getting zoned out by the Aphelios Braum. Like we said, Aphelios does really nice into this Caitlyn Karma lane. You can play that range game. You can play the AoE, and there's not much you can poke out as long as the Braum is using a shield. But now, the dragon is being set up. Who's going to get to it first, and who's going to secure this objective?
Yep, it's a 3-man overstack here in the bot side, so Tumu is going to have to try and get on out of here. He's only level 4. This might just be the Karma following, but Pace is here trying to see if he can get down there. Capperjack wants to try to cut that off, and Tumu just has nowhere to go right now. He's not going to get hit with the Braum Q, so we'll make it out alive for now, but those are low health bars. And Pace, do they fancy themselves a dragon? Nitro going to fall super low. This may just be the call of here. Azrath, why would you? Oh no, that was a disastrous backpoint. They're going to land the exhaust and the flash. Can he manage to get himself out? This is going to be the ultimate committed from the Caitlyn, and they're just trying to convince Pace not to do anything untoward. They're going to jump in. That's going to be the Moonlight Vigil committed now. Tumu's going to drop. Capperjack's going to pick up his second kill of the game. Oh, and UA, they're just getting aggressive and too greedy in where they're pathing, and they are getting punished.
They're just walking in and out, in and out. They're trying to keep Pace enticed enough so that Superben can come in and potentially clean up. This fight's not over, Horizon.
These are low health bars, and Trinamir's still got ulti. What can he get out of this one? Ezra's going to try and run away. Superben wants to try and at least get one. He's going to pick up one. That's 2. Superben trading. He gets his own. Might be a triple for Joe. What else can he get to try to run away? Nitro has no health, and Udyr's going to pick that one up. And UA, it looked like it was going against it, but Superben comes in, and they come away with a huge kill, and a dragon is their reward.
Tumu was too juicy, man. He died for the sins of UA, but the rest of his team picked up the slack. Pace could not get out. Superben and Joystick came in and cleaned up. 3 kills onto the Trinamir, 2 kills onto the Caitlyn. Everything's looking up UA right now. What was once a 1.5k gold lead has now ballooned into 4,000.
Oh, Shibby, say it ain't so. And it looked like Pace were maybe getting the better of UA in those trades. It looked like they were making some egress into invading that bot side jungle, maybe trying to force Azrath out. He was super low even when he hit that level 6. And it looked like this would be an easy dragon turn from them. But UA, they say, no, not so fast. Your low health bars, you've overextended for this. And they punish Pace for their over-aggressiveness yet again. And I'm concerned actually now with the members that are getting this kill, Trinamir 3-0 and 3, that they may be en route to getting outscaled in this game early on.
Yeah, he hasn't even backed. He got the 2 kills or 3 kills and is now finally backing. I wouldn't be surprised if Superben just picks up a straight mythic right now or just comes back with a completed item here. Option for the Berserker Greaves. Okay, all right. He went the more cautious play here. I don't disagree, but now Pace looking to get something back here. Constellation prize, if anything, for that Herald. They do have the top pressure here. Nobody can really contest. I like the play from Nitro and the rest of Pace. They haven't given up that aggression. Like you said, they haven't gotten gun shy, which is what you need. You don't want to go dying silently into the night, especially with the composition that Pace has drafted. You want to try to put as much pressure as you can onto UA even when down.
Yeah. Now, Shibby, obviously, they've just picked up this Herald, so that is going to be a nice price for them to have, at least, to have in their back pocket. But what do they do to make the most out of this Herald? Because they are, as you highlighted earlier, a significant amount of gold down. They have some of the key members of UA already starting to get towards this itemization that they need. I mean, completed boots, tier 2 boots already for Super Ben. He's going to be working towards, I'm not sure what item he's going to try and build there, whether or not he might try to go the... I mean, that's just good. Is he just going to go straight into maybe a Kraken Slayer or something like that? Is the move?
Wait a minute.
Rage?
Rue.
What's he want to do? This is going to be completed there, but it's a 3-on-2 in this bot lane pace. They got caught up in a rotation again, and now they're going to try and run. Is QE wants to get out of there, manages to survive for now, but again, UA unrelenting on this pressure.
Nitro's back.
Oh,
Superman's
Nitro.
quietly behind.
Nitro, you don't get this kill. He stayed to try and get the kill, and now he's going to get punished. He could have repelled and got out of there with his life, but he won't even do that. And they may decide that they want to drive QE because Superman, he's got ulti, he's got the turret aggro, and there's nothing that QE can do except die. It's another double kill for the Tryndamere, and UA is starting to run away with this game.
We puzzled, we questioned the Tryndamere pick. We were like, if they lock this in, what could this possibly do? We see the power, and like you said, he just slaps that Kraken Slayer onto his itemization. He's gonna go for the raw damage. No Gale Force needed. He's just gonna go in, and he has one way in, and that's death for the rest of Pace, as now Caperjack is trying to get something. I believe he stole away the Raptors all while that was happening, but still, it was once 4,000. Now it's 5.5K for UA. They are not letting up on the gas. They are keeping the pressure towards Pace, and it feels like Pace is like trying to scale for the late game now.
Yeah. If you're Caperjack in the comments, like, hey, don't worry, guys, it's worth. I got the Raptors. Meanwhile, UA's like, hey, cool story, bro. We're gonna collect your literally everything. As local barbarian, man, too angry to die. 5-0-3, as you highlighted. Slap that Kraken Slayer in there, so he's going to be super happy with the state of the affairs. And as I was trying to ask, what they wanted to do with the Herald to try and get the most gold out of it and maybe put themselves back in a position, no sooner do they collect that objective than they're punished in the bot side again, as the Herald is going to be placed down mid lane.
Yeah, Joel Stink is by himself here. There's a window for the rest of Pace to dive him, but they have to be quick. You see Udyr and Karma pathing down. They have a very small window horizon.
Nitro, they need to get him down as quickly as possible. They'll get this done and they'll collect at least one kill. But what are they going to give up for? Because Nitro is ticking. This has gone horrible. Yes, you got the K, but what did it cost you? It cost them everything, and it gives a double kill over to Azareth. And oh, UA, they said, cool story, bro. You got a Herald. We got a bunch of kills.
Yeah, they went for that dive. They didn't know how much time they had left. It took too long to kill the Caitlyn, requiring them to overstay, and Karma Udyr chasing you down is just absolute terror, as now Super Ben's like, wait.
Caperjack, you don't win these. He's too angry to die. Don't you know? Local Barbarian, man, gets those. He gets out clean, scot-free, and the turret plating is going to fall off now, but that means nothing to Caperjack, who's sitting in the death realm. And this, Shibby, you never want to call it early, but this is starting to look really rough for Pace.
Ooh, it's looking bleak for sure, right? You thought Caperjack might get the win under the turret, and then like you said, Tryndamere like, wait a minute. I just win this. I have Kraken Slayer. I've got my ultimate. I've got everything going, plus a full rage bar. You're not going to win that any day of the week, as Azarath has picked up the Demonic Slayer, is working his way towards that Radiant Virtue. I believe potentially also the Jack Show. Either item very good on Udyr, but now the Dragon setup is coming in, and if you're UA, you just gotta set the traps down. You gotta get your Karma ready to poke. There's not much else you can do here for the side of Pace. You just kind of have to give this one.
Yeah, and this is going to feel so rough for them because they're already the one dragged down. There's a significant amount of gold. They didn't really get much out of that Herald charge. Yes, they got a couple of plates, but they ultimately ended up giving much more than they got out of it. And, I mean, now for Pace, it's all about hoping that UA makes a mistake. But, I mean, right now, the mistake is going to have to be pretty colossal for Pace to come back in this one. It's going to revolve around getting the shutdown gold on Super Ben and on Azarath right now. It's about 1,000, a little bit more than 1,000 gold on both of them, but that gold has to go to the right place. And short of UA making a colossal mistake, it really does feel like they're very much in the driver's seat. Like, this is their game to lose.
Horizon, they have to make one mistake, then another, then another, then another, and then maybe one more before Pace can even think about getting back into this game. And all of those kills have to go, like you said, onto this Aphelios, as Azarath has just taken the 1v1.
Kaepernick, no, don't do it to him. Don't. Yes, manages to flash out and gets the passive as well with that movement speed to run away. I was about to say Azarath was just going to let him slowly burn in the ultimate, but manages to live there. But again, it cost him a flash. Bot lane, though, Can they manage to get something? Moonlight Vision is going to come out as Joe is slowly ticking. They managed to get the K, but it's really, really low health bars. Will they be able to get the Karma too? Yes, it's a double kill. Crucially, going on to that Aphelios and Pace, they are fighting back.
Oh, Super Ben's hunting. He's sniffing. He's going. This is Jaws incarnate right now. He's hunting Nitro.
Now, that's just been committed. He does still have Flash, though, and just deciding he would rather just leave the nasty little spider alive. Like, you know, if I just leave you up, you have to go regen health, and that means you're not bothering me, and I can just go kill you mid laner. So, interesting call not to commit further, but I think also didn't want to risk getting collapsed on, though. I would have thought that the health bars with QE and Pace, Rue down there would have been worth a potential dive to maybe collect 3 kills. Did have the ultimate available, but decided not to do it. Azrath, careless. Oh, this is just Rue. They're gonna force out the Flash and the Ghost. Both movement abilities forced out of him and Pace. They are just blowing summoners left and right.
Yeah, they're just being bullies right now. They're giving them a couple love taps into the top lane, into the jungle. Super Ben slides on in. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take your CS. I don't really want to fight you. I just want to zone you out from any sort of EXP, any sort of gold. And you see UA just being absolute bullies with this gold lead. 6,000 at the 7-minute mark. And Capperjack doesn't have Flash. He's getting hunted down.
Rue, I'm not sure why you just stood there. That was your cue to exit stage right, and the only thing you will be doing is exiting to the fountain because you, my friend, are going to get locked up. The Karma's going to land the chain. Super Ben's going to land himself another kill. He's going to go godlike in this one. The man is literally still too angry to die. He has not died once in this game. 7-0-3, and Pace just cannot get out of their own way.
No, they're just sticking too long. They're trying to make something happen. Credit to them where they can, but it's just the wrong plays. UA is just there in full force. Anytime that you think one of them is caught out, the rest of the team is quietly following right behind here as Nitro is maybe looking to get this Herald here, but he sees Karelius on it. Is he going to get the steal? No, he's fine. Karelius is going to pick up this nice little Rift Herald for himself, and the split push pressure continues for the Gwen and Tryndamere. They have the team fight gold lead for themselves. They can split push as well. There are multiple ways that Pace could lose this game here. UA has a plethora of options.
Yeah, and Shivy, right now, if you're Pace, I guess one of the other things you're trying to figure out right now is as the sideline threats become more and more available, more and more online for UA, eventually we'll start to see Tryndamere and Gwen hard splitting those lanes. You know, who are you sending to stop them? Can you even afford to send anybody to stop them? At this point, I'm wondering what their comms are like and trying to figure out whether or not they have confidence in any 1v1 matchup, because to me, it kind of feels like they're going to need multiple members to just respond to at least one of these side lane threats.
You send the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard. You send everybody you can to match these side lanes. I mean, realistically, Pace just kind of has to get a pick onto somebody. As Capperjack, man, that turret's not safe. You got to get out of there. Don't stick around. Just go all the way back to your tier 3, man.
I wouldn't face check that if I were you, because there's a very nasty Udyr on the other side, but doesn't step too far forward. But I mean, Chibi, you highlighted, like, those turrets do not, it's a false sense of security. That turret will not stop them. They will dive you underneath there. They'll just set Tryndamere up there. So they have to be very, very careful of where they're trying to set up on the map right now. When, again, one of the unfortunate things, for Pace with UA having this kind of lead is, you talked about a plethora of options. They can pick and choose what objectives they want. If you want to go get a dragon, cool. UA is going to go grab a Baron, and they're going to siege your base, or vice versa. They don't care about Baron at all because they have the ability to poke you out and fight you wherever they want.
There's actually an argument to be made to just not take the Baron, right? Not risk the 50-50 and just simply wait for them as Azarath is just dominating.
And by QE as well, Tryndamere just going to dive him on, and just trying to play for a little bit of time, but it's not going to be much. Pace, he might be caught out too. He's going to throw down the smite. Glacial Fizz are committed, but it just kind of seems like they're just throwing stones at a titanium wall. It's not going to do anything. No dents will be made. You won't slow it down in any way. Azarath also joins the Tryndamere and Godlike. There are a couple of gods on that team. They're feeling mighty fine. Is Careless going to siege in that top lane? Going to knock that inhibitor turret down. Wisely, only just now taking it. They want to commit too far, and they are just going to run straight for Baron.
Yeah, they're going to set the Tryndamere onto that. Come over when you're done with it, and then they're going to go towards the Baron. UA smartly played as well. Usually you'll see a lot of teams, when they get this giant gold lead, they'll super aggressively, they'll play super recklessly. Far really giving up a kill. As I say that, Super Ben.
Run, Nitro, run! He's going to try and repel a jump back in. The man is a certified maniac, and he just got sent to the Estate Asylum, and now it's going to be the most committed for him. Flash over. Who would talk about a madman? The train is too angry to die. Will this be the shutdown, though? Finally, they get the Tryndamere down, but they're going to lose the Baron for it. Ultimately, I think UA still fine with that trade. Super Ben playing fast, but they get everything that they wanted on that rift.
Let me just highlight this Horizon Ben was on the Kraken for the longest. He just picked up.
He just bought a full Navori.
Yeah. He just and working towards that LDR, right? He had so much gold, it was weighing him down. That's why he couldn't catch up to the rest of the members of the fact used only 10,000 at the 21-minute mark. Like you said, I hate to call it early. You got the bear, got they have an open inhib in the top lane, push and they win.
Yeah, right now I think you know what, if you're Tryndamere, you know, if you're Super Ben on UA, you just say, you know what, guys, I gave the kill intention. I want to give him a false sense of security, that way they overplay it again and I just kill him because I got this brand new item and a half. And I mean, that is absolutely terrifying. If you just see Tryndamere come back and he has a full item and a half plus double longsword sitting in inventory, that Tryndamere is going to absolutely start shredding through every single person on that pace lineup. And normally you would say, okay, well, who do we commit to and dodge out? All this is, oh, hold on, I'm going to get interrupted. That's going to be Tumu falling. Caught out a little bit there, over aggressive near the Raptors, but Siege is still continuing to kind of boost up our ego a little bit and our morale. So just punch the Karma in the face enough times and then we'll feel a little bit better and just hope we don't die before the rest of the team gets there.
Yeah, it's really, like you said, a handful of colossal mistakes have to be made from UA for Pace to even think about getting back in this game. Affiliates has just ticked 2 items, equivalent to the Caitlyn, but unfortunately, there's just so much gold lead on UA, and the team fight breaks out.
He gets caught out again, and now it's going to be the full commit from Capperjack. What else can he do? Low health bars on the Caitlyn, but that's not going to be enough because the rest of Team UA is here, and they are looking to put in the damage, and the final nails in his coffin as he's going to get shot out. But Careless, he's another carry. Just because you got rid of the trend doesn't mean you got rid of all the threats. They're diving into the tier 2. They're collecting a double kill, and now Carly's just going to be next to drop as it's a triple kill for the Gwen. Kate gets on the board, and they're going to look to finish out this game. Shibby, this one is done and dusted.
24 minutes, a quick and dirty game for UA here. 10-28. They're going to end with a 14,000 gold lead here. They're going to push on to the inhibitors. Azarath's like, yeah, I can just tank all of this. And just an absolutely dominating game from UA. These teams may be undefeated, but UA just completely stomps Pace in game 1. And we may have lost Horizon here. What's up?
No, I'm still here. I was waiting. I was trying to wait for the transition. I was thinking it was going to be a little bit shorter, so I was going to like play it cleanly, but I just mistimed it, so now I look like a doofus. But I mean, as you highlighted, I mean, that is an incredible first game from UA. Now, obviously, we still have a potential maybe 2 more games to go, depending on how this next one goes. But if you want to talk about making a statement between 2 undefeated teams, UA, they were speaking loud and clear with their gameplay in that first match.
They were shouting. They were screaming. They had the megaphone in hand ready to go. They said, we are undefeated. We are actually undefeated here. And I said, keeping that momentum going, it's really, really crucial in these early weeks. And if you come out the gates hot like that, it's not even a close one. You've got to be feeling really confident if you're UA.
Yeah, and looking even forward to this next max potential before we go to break, you know, if you are Pace on this one, what is the mental games to try and get rid of that game? Do you just pretend that one didn't happen? Or are you trying to look at this critically? You know, what are you doing to get your mental strong before you start the second match and just erase what just happened to you in that first game?
And there's not a lot to look at, right? You can kind of just look at the early game and see, okay, here's where it went wrong. Here's what we could do here. Here's how we use our lane priority. Nitro and the rest of Pace had the right mentality, right? Use your lane pressure, use your priority to invade onto the Udyr, get some micro advantages, and then snowball that. But just unfortunately, they just stayed a little too long in crucial moments, right? And that just allowed the Tryndamere, the Udyr, the Caitlyn to pick up multi-kills in the early game. And after that, there's not much you can really review. So I think Pace, you kind of just throw this one out the door, look at the early game, say, here's what we could have done, draft correctly. I don't know if there's going to be some like inter-meta kind of match meta where they ban out the Tryndamere, they ban out the Gwen. There wasn't one specific pick that ruined Pace. It was more of just kind of a over-aggression and a couple mistakes in the early game that kind of just led UA to balloon their leads.
Yep. Well, we will have to see whether or not Pace can right the ship or whether or not all the holes that UA just poked in that ship are enough to sink it. Only one way to find out. We will be back momentarily with match number 2. So don't you touch that browser because we're coming right back.
The Inkling versus Ganondorf matchup is not very good for Ganondorf, but let's be honest, which matchups are? In this clip we're going to be watching as JD from Fisher learns the hard way that You never really want to meet an Inkling off stage.
Sooner if you don't find that kill confirm or that kill or a bomb off stage like that.
That bomb angle
guarding is so good today.
Yeah, that bomb angle was beautiful.
Week 4 of ECAC Rocket League was absolutely insane. CMU and FC were tied up 0-0, but it was Gand who told FC they shall not pass game number 2.
Side of FC, they've only got one player for a moment there. They're trying to recollect, they're trying to reposition, but how do you position around a pinpoint accurate shot like this? Gand goes crossbar down for the first goal.
Adams in reverse, backed the defense off with that.
Whenever I'm on the mic for Valorant, you'll often hear the line, check your corners, repeated over and over and over again. And even with me not on the mic to tell them, I have a feeling this team may have learned that lesson.
Nah, he's got to take the shot.
Take it.
Oh yeah, sounds of teammates running on through, and come on, dive! The 4K on a completely unaware trio. And it's 11-0 right now.
And those are the top 8 moments we thought deserved just a little bit more time in the spotlight of week number 4 here at ECAC. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're interested in what ECAC has going on, we got something happening nearly every day of the week. So check us out right here. Editor, that's a challenge for you. Wink, wink. And folks, this has been all from me. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy this, and we've got plenty of weeks down the line. Can't wait to see what comes of them.
And there's so many other jobs as well that can translate out of this experience in esports. The only path is not just as a player. I think all of us are representative of jobs in esports, but it mirrors traditional sports in pretty much the same way. You've got, you know, broadcasters, you've got production people, you've got marketing and sales, and now NIL and things like that. But really, esports is kind of a great accelerator for a lot of new businesses that are coming up in the metaverse and Web3, and there's a lot of new technology that is going to be needed. And so these STEM students that are also esports athletes are really the future workforce and
Well, folks, welcome back to the caster desk. It wasn't that long of a break. It's certainly not long enough for Pace to forget that game. Though hopefully maybe they have a Men in Black sort of situation where they could just, you know, flash that one out and return back to a game 1 state before they drafted that Trindamere and it hit the Rift. So hopefully they have an answer for it in the draft before they get ready. As we're getting ready to get into Champ Select and Shibby, I mean, Pace, they're going to have to find some pretty good answers, because it feels like if they let that trend go through again, I mean, it won so hard that it feels like it doesn't matter what you would pick in that thing in any role. It just feels like it would win again.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, right? That might just be like one of those trauma bans, right? You just ban, like, you know, I don't want to see it anymore. I'd never want to play that against Albany, so let's ban it anyways. But they are going to have to give up something, right? Either the Gangplank, potentially, you know, like the other picks they kind of banned out. So you have to trade. That's the mind game, right? Albany has set the stage, and they're like, all right, well, you have to answer us. Albany's completely fine probably running that comp again, right? The Trindamere was picked pseudo blind, like we said, right? I would more than likely wager that if there was a mage or something long ranged picked into that mid lane, that they would have just flexed that Trindamere into the Cassante and pick something else up for the UA mid laner here. But yeah, Superband just absolutely running amok. And it was really the rest of the team kind of capitalizing on Pace's mistakes, like we said. Pace for them, they just kind of, they had the right idea. They had the blueprint ready. They're like, we're going to invade with the Elise. We're going to try to bully this Udyr out, and we're going to look to potentially use the kind of advantages we have in the mid and top solo lanes to kind of like push onto this Udyr and not give him a lot of room to grow and room to really clear. But unfortunately, they just stayed a little too long in some of these river fights in the enemy jungle, and the rest of UA collapsed, and then there was a couple multi-kills here and there. It just went to the right people, and then from there on, the game was just an absolute domination from UA. Hands and together for them, and they really played really well with the lead that they had.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things we highlighted in the moment too, was it felt like Pace were just overforcing in moments where they didn't really need to, and that sort of this comedy of unforced mistakes that UA was just able to benefit from really just kind of spiraled out of control. But we'll have to see what adaptations they make in this draft, as talent is going to hit the ban board again. So it was taken away from them in the first one. They did take it away from Pace in the first one. Nami also going to hit the board again, and so far, man, the ban's not changing at all.
Yeah, Pace on red side here, so they're really comfortable. Maybe they're like, okay, you pick the Tryndamere again, it's completely blind for sure, because we do have the counter pick here. They're going to stick with the Pantheon, Gangplank, and Galio here, 3 target bans, but now the Maokai is left up, and Horizon, man, I know how you feel about this champion. You hate it. You hate it. It is absolutely disgusting on objective control.
On behalf of all Sejuani players in the world, I universally feel your pain, and we detest this champion with a passion, because even though it doesn't slow us, it still hurts, all right? Samplings hurt. They're little punchy wood babies, and they hurt, and it's not fair. And as you highlighted, like, the objective control with something like a Maokai is insane. The vision is great. Being able to track where people are going is great. And, like, the AP build on Maokai is turbo busted, in my opinion. So, like, even trying to trade in the 1v1 against this champion hurts. This tree slaps.
Oh yeah, and they've taken the nerf bat at it a couple times, and he kind of just like comes back, right? It's like the records of my demise have been over exaggerated. The reports, he just keeps coming back with the saplings, like you said, the full AP build. You don't have to even go Radiant Virtue; you can go the demonic into Liandry's. As Pace have kind of locked themselves in unusual bot lane, but I have a sneaking suspicion this Lucian could go mid.
It could be a mid Lucian. I would be really surprised, given that UAlbany could probably pick something into it. Of course, Pace have the final pick, so they can look to flex it till the last moment. But the bot lane pick with the Lulu would be a little bit strange. Obviously, the Lulu provides quite a bit of protection, so it's not a terrible pairing with the Lucian, but normally you don't see him picked unless it's something with the Nami, just because of the synergy those champions have. You would have really more expected UAlbany to want to have the Lulu with the Lulu Kate, but instead they're going to go this double marksman. They're going to go into this Ashe lineup that provides so much utility, provides division, and has been a stable pick in the meta for the last couple of weeks that we've seen in professional play and collegiate play. So I would not be surprised to see this pressure that maybe Pace are trying to build by saying, okay, hey, we want a little bit more of an aggressive bot lane. We don't want to get bullied like the last time we did, so we're going to draft this solution to try and trade more. But that's obviously a lot more difficult when you have something like a Kate and an Ashe on the other side.
Yeah, nerfs be damned. I think Ashe still provides a lot of lane utility. Like you said, the Hail of Blades trading power, where you just start just firing arrows into them, and the Caitlyn can just walk you down, especially into such a short range of the Lucian. Like, I have to expect Pace doesn't want to, like, if I'm QWE here, like, I don't want to take this lane. Like, this is rough even with the Lulu, because there's no way you really get in, right? Usually you see, like you said, the Nami Lucian, or a classic combo, the Lucian Braum, what was really strong back in the day, because you can get the passive stacks going. But Caitlyn Ashe just outrange you completely. Like, I don't expect, I'll be very surprised if the Lucian actually goes into this bot lane.
Well, and the worst part is, too, if you're looking at the utility of ults, I mean, in that bot lane, like, if Lucian starts to open up with the culling, if you're Tumu, you just ult him, and then Kate can start to play in the damage, put the traps behind him, and then as Lucian, you really have nowhere to go, and you're entirely reliant on Lulu saving your life. But that wild growth can only do so much in those specific trades, and Lulu's going to get poked out. Normally, when you see Lulu into something like a melee, support bot lane, the Lulu can kind of freely stack the support item. It's a bit of a pokey pressure, but that doesn't work into something like an Ashe that can outrange you, hit wide abilities, and be constantly checking for your jungler to make sure that they're ganked.
Yeah, and Pace had the opportunity to take the Caitlyn Ashe for themselves. They had R1, R2 here, but they opted in for the Lucian, so we're going to see how that goes. The Ornn being locked in for Pace as well, so a little bit of late game insurance. Ornn still very, very good. I think the tank item changes have really benefited him. He's kind of sleeper OP just because things like the Cassante, the Jax, the Fiora are all really, really popular at the moment, but he's somebody that can provide that stability, provide that late game insurance with the ornaments to kind of move you across the finish line. As Albany take the Udyr and the Yasuo away. Pace, there's that Tryndamere ban that you mentioned, Horizon.
Yeah. Well, the thing that concerns me now, though, with signaling their hand, is that Ornn really only does have the one they can go into. So there are a number of counter picks that can really punish it. Specifically, the Cassante is still up. Gwen is still up. Fiora is up, to another degree. Even Jax. Like, these are all champions that can very heavily punish this Ornn. Now, Ornn has had a reputation over the last several years for bringing this sort of jack of all trades. It's actually a lot harder harder to kill than he looks. But if you put significant pressure on that top one, you bring the junglers up there, especially with the Maokai, that Ornn is going to fall, and then your late game scaling insurance falls to the wayside, and UAlbany end up in the same situation that they did last time, where they're getting a lot of gold really quickly onto the scaling champions. So Pace, they really need to come up with something in this last pick to justify that Ornn.
Yeah, and they're going to take the Vi with it as well. Get a little bit of lockdown going. Sets up the Ornn Horn. Sets up a lot of that damage coming in CC. But there's the Gwen and the mid
lane Tristana.
Oh, man. That Halo Blades as well into the double crit item, right? She can burst you out really, really well. What is Pace going to take into this? Do they know the matchup? There's very few champions that can lane evenly with the mid lane Trist early on. They're going to opt in for the Echo?
Echo has not received any major buffs. That is a gutsy call indeed. Now, obviously, you have a lot of dive on Tristana, but that is not a pick I would have expected for them to try and pick into a Hail of Blades Tristana.
I mean, they're probably thinking you can get that W shield off. You E in. Either they trade with you in your bubble or they have to back out of the wave. But I think it's going to be really hard for this Echo to pick up any kind of CS, at least early on. You have to call your Vi over if you're Capperjack here and maybe just lock this Tristana down once everybody hits level 6. Albany's composition is a little short on the tankiness. I will give them that. They're running a very, very knife's edge composition with the kind of, I'm going to say triple marksman, but in reality, it's double marksman, right? And then Ash's support here. You don't really have that beefy front line. So, like I said, they have to be at these objectives first. They have the Maokai saplings. They have the Caitlyn traps. You also have the scouting vision with the Ashe E, the hawk shot. So, if you get to these objectives early, yeah, you can set them up. But Pace just has the Vi Ornn ready to kind of just walk in and take any sort of abuse. And they're just going to look to lock somebody down that steps up out of position.
Yeah, well, and even more to that point, too, while I do criticize the Echo pick a little bit in terms of being a very iffy pick to have in the mid lane, I will say Tristana doesn't have a way to hold this mid in this wave in the middle of the lane when she's in the laning phase, because her passive automatically is going to execute any of those minions that are low health and applies that AoE damage, which means she's constantly going to be pushing, and that opens up opportunities for Nitro on this Vi to come in and gank this lane. And when you have a champion like Echo that essentially has a get out of jail free card where you can turbo dive that Tristana, and if it doesn't work out, you can just pull back and walk away, no harm. It's going to be something that Super Ben is going to have to be really cognizant of when he's playing on that Tristana, because this is a pick that is very feast or famine. It either works fantastic or it fails miserably. And Tristana, mid lane with no items, that's like playing 4v5 and you've got your arms tied behind your back.
Yeah, if you can shut the Trist down early, if you can get her behind the curve that we think of, right, with the kind of like IE or Kraken Slayer into IE, right, the crit item changes, then you can really start taking the objectives. This composition that Albany has drafted is very reliant on them getting early leads. The Caitlyn Ashe, the Tristana, right, you kind of just leave Gwen on the island by herself against the Ornn, and you just hope that your Maokai pressures the right lanes and is there for the counter gang. But it's all really up to Nitro to kind of get the initiative going, right? Get your Echo ahead, provide some support for the Lucian Nami. If there are any lapses in warding or any lapses of vision that Nitro can sneak in, he can start turning these lanes around. Because like you said, both Caitlyn Ashe and Tristana are naturally going to be shoving in, and they're going to have a lot of priority, but that opens themselves up to these ganks that Nitro can kind of pull off.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the side of Pace right now too, obviously I'm actually quite a bit more confident outside of this mid lane pit, which I think might be suspect depending on how the lane goes. I'm actually very confident in the actual overall capabilities of their entire draft, because Lucian is no longer this ADC pick that doesn't scale well in the late game. For years, that was the problem with Lucian, is that he was great for the first 25 to 28 minutes, but then after that, if you didn't win the game and your opponent was still farming, then that ADC was going to be better. But now, because of the way that his build works now, it's not that way anymore. He has late game power, and paired with an Ornn, that late game power is going to be even better. So you're not getting outclassed like something by a Tristana, by a Kate at long range, and you can actually do the damage, and you can get onto multiple targets because his team fighting is so good. But that is predicated on having a successful laning phase. And if you do put this Lucian behind, it is really miserable to play.
Yeah, Lucian really needs that Navori power spike, right? That's when you can start kind of dashing in everywhere, using his abilities, cycling them really quickly, and that's where you get that really high burst, like you said, Lucian build, especially into such a squishy composition like Albany has drafted themselves. Even the Maokai, to some extent, he's not going to go full tank. He's going to go demonic first, most likely into the Radiant Virtue here. If he opts in for that full AP, they're going to have a really squishy composition, which is going to give Lucian so much time to kind of just tear through your team, his high burst potential, especially with the Lulu E and W, like the mobility that he has. I mean, Lucian Echo is capable of just popping anybody on the side of Albany in the blink of an eye, and they win the fight like that.
Yeah, it should be, well, obviously with the junglers we have involved, these are two bruiser-heavy junglers. Maokai, I think, to a less degree, because while he does a lot of damage, he is still tanky to some degree, but not as much as if he were to build some of these more tanky defensive items. So, in your mind, who has to make the first move here in this jungle matchup, and where do they need to go to get this game kicked off?
Oh, it's got to be Nitro, right? It really does. It was really effective on the Elise, got the early gank off. I don't know if he can do something as greedy here. He's not facing into the Udyr, so can't be punished as much, as the Maokai is a much slower clearer into the jungle here. So I would expect Nitro to try, like you said, affect that mid lane early, really like punish Tristana for picking this champion because of the natural auto-shoving lane here, and just keep it going, right? Don't lose up on that kind of gank pressure, because the moment you do that is the more time you give Albany to kind of just shove you in, poke you in a turret, pick up turret plates, right? Caitlyn and Tristana, two of the best siegers and best turret killers in the game at the moment. If you give them any more room to breathe, if you allow them to kind of siege upon your turret plates, they're going to stack up the gold, and they're going to come into these fights really, really well armed.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make in terms of having that early pressure. I think a lot is going to be on Nitro to make sure that the lanes are making the most of any pushing that might be happening from UA, and I think it's really important that he make his presence felt around the map as quickly as possible, if for no other reason than to deter UA from trying to make any of these plays that they were making last time. I think for him, it's going to be a little bit of redemption from the first game to, hey, you know, that early aggression that I was showing, that wasn't misplaced, and I can't actually do something with it, because there were moments where he got caught in that top side jungle, in that bot side jungle, where it gave over larger plays that led to objectives that UA was able to take away. So for me, I think for them, it's going to be about playing this game slow. You're not in a rush. You have those ornaments. You have the Lucian that's going to be scaling. You have the Echo that's going to be plenty strong come the late game. You can just play to deny certain neutral objectives and just make the game stall, because I think the longer it goes for them, I think they'll be perfectly fine, especially once they start to tank or start to stack some of those tanky items. The only thing that is going to be a problem potentially is that all of your damage is sitting on two members. You are waiting on that Echo to get in the engage and get the damage in. You're also highly dependent on the Lucian. So if you lose those two damage threats, then you lose any of your ability to fight.
Yeah, if any of these two guys fall behind, like, it's going to be rough sailing for a Pace here. But we're going to get started into the game. Horizon, UA versus Pace, week 2, game 2 of the ECAC regular season here, man. I mean, this has got to be a banger, right? Pace has got to come out swinging. They have to. After that stomping, I would be fired up if I was Pace.
Oh, yeah, they need to be coming out here with a little bit of sense of revenge, and they are using the patented North American play, run mid and sit in a bush and see if you can collect somebody, but Superben was wise on that one, and yeah, UA is going to make sure that no one gets too far into this jungle. They are going to get the vision, but that's going to be about it, and those health bars are already starting to get eat up.
Yeah, they'll be able to back. They'll be comfortable here. But crucially, the Maokai and the Gwen kind of get some vision down onto Pace's red side, as Kusai is going to be fine just walking up here. He's not going to have that solo kill power that he did on the Cassante here. So unless Corellius kind of massively messes up into this top lane, there shouldn't be too much action going on there. Both of these guys want to scale. One guy wants to get the ornaments. The other character just wants to get their 2-item power spike, you know, with the Nashors into the Riftmaker or vice versa. So I would expect a lot of quiet fighting into that top lane.
Yeah, and I want to highlight great communication by UA as well, making sure that they had someone rush just straight mid. Normally, you don't see that. Normally, they kind of do this 5-point spread out in the river, but Superben cognizant that might be what they want to do and ran straight mid, saw all those members invading, and Penis and hey, you know, these guys are trying to make an early move, and that communication likely saved someone from dying in that potential invade.
Yeah, and like we said, the auto shoving already happening. Caprajack just waiting for the wave to come to him as both junglers start onto the bot side here. So everybody knows where everybody started. Both bot laners are coming in pretty late. Lucian, Lulu getting the first push here. They might look to push level 2 so they can kind of just establish that lane dominance early and not give Caitlyn and Ashe the time to poke, the time to kind of poke and prod them in this bot lane here.
Yeah, and I really want to see QE get more aggressive here, as well as Pew try and poke this Ashe and this Caitlyn out, force them back, get to level 2, because if they don't, we talked about making sure you don't fall behind. And a matchup that's going to outrange you naturally, you're going to really, really struggle. So I need to see them get level 2 for this to be worth it, or you're going to start to see them get shoved in.
Right here.
Potential. Yep, that's going to be it. They're going to dash in on top of Tumu. That's going to be the light. Slinger going down on top of him is going to drop below half already. So first objective completed. They've got the level 2, and now they have control over this lane.
Yeah, that Ashe is going to have to burn through those pots. Crucially, Lulu has the 2 red pots ready. Nitro, we said he had to come into the mid lane. Is he going to be able to punish Super Ben? The jump is ready.
Yep, wants to try and get out of this one. He's going to wait to the last possible second. Well-timed, didn't blow the flash. Super Ben ready and waiting for that one. Knew that could be a possibility. Gives over information where the Nitro is, but that is a pressure game, so Super Ben going to have to be respectful that Vi is still in the area.
I thought Vi would try to flash follow right with the Q and force something out of Super Ben. But well played from the Tristana, jumping out just at the right time here, not giving Nitro any time to adjust the punch angle. But like you said, relieve some of that pressure. Gwen is going to have a lot of pressure into the Ornn, at least early. But Ornn will be fine. He'll be able to trade in, has the brittle proc ready, and just slams it down onto Gwen here.
Yeah. Now, the side effect with, unfortunately, being in this position as Ornn means that you're really not going to be able to contest Gwen early on in this lane, which means that the scuttle should just go the way of Azareth because of the pressure that's in the mid lane and in that top side. It should just be an easy secure. So that means that Nitro, yeah, he's not even going to contest it. He's going to go straight down that bot lane, look to secure a scuttle for himself, possibly back complete the Krugs if he wants to go up there, or wait for the bot side camps to respawn and look for another ganking opportunity.
Yeah, he might rotate. He might counter-rotate from top to bottom here and just rotate his camps, right? Takes the Krugs, puts them on the higher level, and then takes everything else. Gonna see what he can do here. Like you said, takes the scuttle. Both level 4 now, these junglers, but kind of quieter, at least, than game 1. Both of these teams playing a bit more reserved, interestingly enough. But Nitro still looking to be the aggressor here.
And I don't think you really want to go there, because that Tristana is going to rotate. She's going to do quite a bit more damage than the Echo in the early lane. Tumu was here. He's going to start to land the slows, and this might just be what happened in the early game, and that's first blood goes to Tumu. You would have liked to have seen someone else get it, but the Lucian firing back, not ready to let this one go, and this will be a double kill for him if he can secure it. This would be huge. This would be a much better start to the game than they had last time. Superben's going to fall. It's a double kill for QE, and they are much, much happier this point, but somehow still a couple hundred gold down.
Yeah, the first blood ended up going over to the Ashe here, hence why they have the gold lead, but it's a faux gold lead, right? You would rather have the 2 kills onto the Lucian rather than the 1 kill onto the Ashe here, and a nice counter rotation from Pace's bot lane here. They saw that the fight was taking just a little bit too long. Nitro ended up using the E onto Tristana to get the shield just for her to live, and then it was done deal after that. QWE kind of comes in here and takes the rest of the kills, and that's a really nice play from Pace here, being the counter aggressors this time around.
Yep. And as you highlighted, it was already a much slower start this game than the one we had last time, as Superben jumping in, just wants to get the procs on the bomb. But I think much better start for them. They're going to be happy. And, they are very much the ones that are in this scaling matchup, at least, on paper. Obviously, Gwen will scale pretty well. So will Kate and so will Trist. But, again, having access to those ornaments gives them that much better late game power. And so to have a clean start like this for the most part, obviously giving first blood doesn't feel good. But you have, as you highlighted, that double kill on the Lucian. He's going to be feeling pretty good. He has those double long swords in inventory. And that is a pressure point that you can already start to play around and set you up well for this late game potential as Gaffer Jack gonna have to wear it out. Didn't blow the ultimate, but does have to leave the lane.
That's really rough trading into the Tristana bomb, right? You wait for your W to go out. It's taking so much time, and by the time it comes in for the shield, your health is already pretty much gone here. So a little bit of a matchup unfamiliarity, I'm gonna say, from Capperjack here, which can be often the case when you go into these collegiate matches, especially if you're going into like a Tristana mid. There's not that often where you see that, and she ended up opting for the press the attack instead of the Halo Blades. So for those more extended trades, she's going to do a lot more damage.
Now, Nitro is here. He doesn't have access to level 6. 90 caliber net takes Joe out of harm's way, so he'll be none the worse the way for that one. Careless, meanwhile, in it. And in Kusai, they want to try and knock this Ornn down. And if you're into scaling, the best way to do it isn't the Death Chamber. They want to win the kill, though, but they don't want to give over one of themselves. Careless board, snip, sends him straight to the found. Careless is on the board.
Yeah, that took a little bit too long for comfort, right? I was like, looking at it, I was like, oh, are they going to get it, or is he going to get a kill out of it? They ended up opting in, giving it to the Gwen here. Going for the same start, Corellius, the Cull into the Amp Tome. So really just playing for that heavy scaling. Nitro, though, very smartly starts up the Dragon. Even in Vision, this is completely safe because Azarath is in that bot lane. I said it was safe, but wait a minute.
Uh-oh, Nitro, he's got the shielding. He will be able to smite it for health, and now UA need to get out of this bot lane. That looked sketchy there for a second, but they got vision it was happening, of course, but no jungling smite means that they are under no risk to lose that objective.
Yeah, I said completely safe, Horizon. I rephrased that. Mostly safe. There's like a 5% chance of error there, but they end up getting the Dragon here. Good job from Pace. Small gold lead for UA, about 1,000 here. That's probably off the kill, the first blood and the kill in the top lane here. You just look across the board, there's small CS advantages for each of the laners here, which kind of adds up to that very small 1,000 gold lead. But Nitro's level 6. He's gonna press the button.
Tumu doesn't have flash. He does have the exhaust, but I think they're out of this one. There's just not enough commitment soon enough. Oh. Is Maokai going to go ahead and pop the ultimate? Wants to get Vance.
Wait a minute.
Nitro wants to try and get him. He's going to go unstoppable, but this is such a split play. He wants to try and get Tumu, but he's not even going to get that. And Nitro is going to be the next one to fall. He'll committed just to try and get QE and Raw out, but that's not going to be enough. Tristana's jumping in. It's going to be an Ash forward. Lulu ends up falling in the end, and it's a 2-for-0 trade. The Dragon fell earlier. There's nothing for them to play for.
The fog of war twisted advance, right? Nitro went in, didn't even think of the Maokai ultimate coming out, and then as soon as he jumps in, he's like, oh, wait, I'm rooted. Wait, timeout. Doesn't want anything with it, and by the time he realizes what's happened, he is dead. 1 kill going over to the Caitlyn, and another kill going over to Tumu, actually.
Going to be pretty happy sitting 2-0 in that Ashe. Of course, if you're the Caitlyn here in this one, like, well, now I'm going to starve because I only have 1 kill and my Ashe has eaten 2 of them, and I should have 3 and you should have 3 assists. But you know what? Them's the breaks. The Ashe is going to have that extra gold. So ultimately, not the worst place for it to be. Honestly, that extra utility will come in handy in terms of the items being available, and even some of the levels that he's going to get from the extra XP. The one thing I wanted to highlight that I didn't get a chance to do, and Chibi, we can talk about this, is normally in that specific trade, when you have like a bot side that's fairly ahead and you get the Dragon, the Herald is usually the normal trade, but because Pace took that Dragon so early, there was no chance for Azra to run topside to take that Herald, and so now, with Tumu being up here, though, prior to this 14 minutes, they're going to be able to start this Herald off. Do Pace try and contest them on this?
I mean, they can move potentially 1 more person up to this top side here. Right now, it'll be a 3v2. They know the Trist is back. They could contest this, but Nitro and the rest of Pace have no clue this is happening.
Yep. Unfortunately, that ult was not well timed, as the field is going to deny all of that CC. Careless will be able to get out of this one. They're actually just going to opt to stop the Herald, and they're going to gank this, and now Coreside, they need to try and get out of this one now. The Twisting Advance doesn't lock anyone down. Nitro going to be trying to run for his life. He flashes. Ather's going to smite him, going to slow him, and he's going to make sure that they get both killed. He's going to jump in on top and make sure that the Ornn falls. Tumu cannot be stopped. He's got another one. Meanwhile, Suicide will slay Azareth in the end. Careless wants to try and get another one. Capperjack needs to try and run out of here. He's underneath the turret. Does he try and recommit? Does he take the ult forward? No, it's going to run underneath the turret, and so now that is where he's going to stay. But ultimately, the Herald will stop, but they give over 2 kills.
Another kill going over to Ashe. She is the real AD carry in UA.
He can't keep getting away with it.
He also has the comment available, but that leaves Joel by himself. Yeah, you have to back off. They can dive you. Wild Growth is available. The back massage Shiatsu culling is available from... Ooh, okay, I thought the Crystal Arrow was going to hit. But they can dive here. They can dive.
Yep. Joel will need to be very, very careful. Has 90 caliber net to get him out of the way. Now, Azareth is here, waiting. Super Ben, he's going to wait until that is committed. Then he's going to jump out rightly, holding that until the last possible second to make sure all the CC was used. And now Azareth is here. A lot of damage landing again. AP Maokai, that hurts! Oh, those saplings slap, and now it's going to be the Wild Growth committed. Raw just trying to get out. Ryu just trying to get out of here, and will manage to survive, but had the bullet flash and the ult. And man, this Maokai is just all across this map right now. Nitro is just getting outpaced.
Can't say I'm surprised in the Maokai damage, the saplings and everything. Nitro really has focused his commitment onto this mid lane, while on the side of Azarath, he's kind of spread the love. He went bot lane with it. He went top lane. The only lane he hasn't really ganked yet or has gotten a kill in is the mid lane, right? He tried to gank him early on, but he's like, you know what? I'm going to focus my efforts here as Tumu is going to go into Capperjack.
Might be a trouble. Flashes the Ashe arrow. Otherwise, that would have been certain death. It would have had enough damage to kill him. But yet another summoner blown. And the mobility right now for champions that aren't even supposed to be mobile outside of the Maokai should be right now. It surprised me. Like, Tumu is everywhere. Like, we're talking about the Maokai. Like, this Ashe has been in every lane in the last 3 minutes, and they're not done.
What surprised me the most as, wait a minute, Azarath might be dead here. What surprised me the most is, didn't we just see an Ash arrow get fired into the bot lane? The man had that up in a matter of seconds as Nitro. You see what Pace want to do, but they just can't walk in. There's just so much of this poke landing onto the side of Pace. They want to start this dragon stacking as Kusai just got traded in. He's backing up. He's going to his tier 2.
I want to say something that's going to upset you. That Ashe ulti is already off cooldown again, and it's about to come and needed in handy because Azarath trying to get his way out of this one. Low health bars now for Pace. They need to be careful. Again, some key ultimates missing. Wild growth, importantly, on
just
that.
Let it fly.
Won't be up for the next couple seconds. Trying to look for a flank. Joel going to try and get out of there. Oh, that Ashe arrow expertly dodged. Someone get that man his knees back. It's going to be Tristana getting Polymorph. Wants to try and get out of here, but she has the damage, and that's going to be Camperjack falling as well. Kate's going to get a double kill, and now they're going to turn to get the dragon. QE runs for his life and manages to live with a sliver of health.
Camperjack dodges the arrow, but cannot dodge death as UA just front loads all this damage. The 380 carries strong, says, you know what, Azarath, even if you're not alive, we'll take the win. We'll take the dragon as well. As now it's looking bleak once again. A 5,000 gold lead for UA here at the 13-minute mark. And all the kills are going on to the right targets here. Even Tumu is like, I'll give you some kills now. Don't worry.
Oh, Kusai, he wants to try and run to this, but there's no running, my friend, I'm afraid, except to try and get to safety. And now Kusai Careless needs to be careful here. But Nitro and Rue, they can't even get up here because of the rotation for the Maokai. They're scared that they might get traded on. Careless won't have access to the ulti, but that's not enough to allow them to go in. And man, this Gwen just absolutely is hurting right now. If you talked about this gold lead, that gold lead means significant item advantages for them right now. And honestly, UA on pace to set another quick game time like they were last time. Pace, they really need to start to get together and find ways to answer across this map as UA going to look to start up the Herald.
Yeah, UA going to take the Herald. That's a nice chunk of change going into their pocket. I love the Herald change, by the way. You actually get rewarded for taking it. I think it's like a couple hundred G's into your pocket just for the Herald alone, along with popping in, potentially getting a mid lane turret or a top lane turret here. As UA now 6,000 gold at the 14.5-minute mark. I mean, it is just scary, right? Maokai playing probably one of the best games a Maokai could have. 3-7. All the kills have gone on to the carries. He's completely fine taking those assists. And UA can kind of just walk in and take whatever they want right now.
Now, I have to point out something, Shibby, that I think will make Ellis happy if he does hear this, and I think is a sin, honestly, of an item build, but I think is kind of highlighting the sort of straits that Pace are in this game. If you look in Nitro's inventory, you will see that he has the sword, the dreaded sword that has sparked quite a bit of debate about whether or not that or the Black Cleaver is better, and personally, I'm at the Black Cleaver camp. I think if you're trying to just make sure that that armor shred is better and you're trying to do more damage, that the Black Cleaver is going to go, because one of the core things that the Black Cleaver is supposed to do is prevent healing. But what healing does UA have on this side that you're stopping?
Maokai passive? Like, I can't justify it even if I tried. And Nitro, they get a pick onto Tumu.
Yeah, going to be feeling pretty good about that one. They get the support or shutdown gold off of the support that never should have had it in the first place. He will be stinging from that one a little bit as Carsite just trying to see if he could trade into this Gwen, but that's really not a winning matchup, even from low. And this is going to be another solo kill. He wipes out the Ornn, the top lane, and this may just be the first turret going down for them as well.
Yeah, that needlework into the Gwen ultimate is just absolutely disgusting. You think you have her, then she gets the Conqueror stats going. The arrow also flies in. I'm not even worried about that because I know as we're talking about it right now, it's already 1/4 of the way of its cooldown is already gone, right? It's halfway done almost. Horizon, I am getting angrier and angrier as I'm commentating the Ashe ultimate.
This just, children, avert your eyes. This is not how it's supposed to be. A 46-second cooldown, by the way, and it is only level 7 with no significant CDR built into the camp. Obviously, now that Imperial Mandate is in, but speaking of mandate, UA have a mandate which is to wipe out all of the Pace members. Huey, you might as well just leave, my friend. That is not going to support, is not going to survive. That's going to be ultimate committed. It gets canceled because the Lulu just dies too quickly. Kate can't even ulti because the damage is so high in this game. Nitro shows up, only see his friend die. That's the Ashe arrow committed, and if we wait long enough, it'll be over, but not quick enough to shoot a second one into the back of Nitro, because he only needed the one. He's dead for 26 seconds. UA are just running away with this game, and really, it looks like it is theirs to lose.
Yeah, 8,000 now at the 17-minute mark. Super Ben just trading into this mid lane, not having as explosive as a game as the Tryndamere, but doing his job, right? 164 to 125 CS. Right now, the bot lane is carrying for UA.
Careless, leave him alone, man. It's stop it. He's already dead. Leave that man alone. It's bullying at this point. You've already made your point. You've pushed him halfway to tier 2, but this Gwen is like, nah, man. I'm gonna keep farming up this CS, and I dare anyone to try to come here and stop me. And as Azareth, with a man possessed, just jumped straight on top of the Lulu. We know you don't have wild growth. We know you have no way to stop us. And now, oh, Joy wants to try and jump forward. He gets the kill. He may give his life up to Nitro though. Is this gonna be a double kill? Smite committed as well, but the Maokai comes to the rescue, but not quick enough as he will drop at the end. Teleport going to be committed now from the Gwen, and Nitro has to beat a hasty retreat. Careless may not be wanting to let this go. That's not the way you wanted to go. You want to go underneath the turret. He doesn't care. He's going to dive under tier 2. Oh, has no way. Careless didn't have a way to go underneath the wall. Nitro was so lucky to live, kept his flash. Oh, but he may not lose Brumu. He wants revenge. He wants revenge. He wants to try and land the W. Oh, no, it's over the wall. It's so smart. There's so much chaos on the rip, but Nitro, he lives with a bare smidgen of health.
Yeah, a sliver of HP to his name and nothing else. Luckily, Carelius didn't have a flash or any way to go over the wall. They committed so much. Caitlyn flashed in, got the pilt over Peacemaker onto Lucian, got the kill here, and just was cleaning up. And you just see the item difference from UA, right? Mythics completed, second items completed for the Gwen here, as well as the Rift Herald does get dropped. You just look on the side of Pace. They've just barely completed their Mythics. They've got some component pieces here and there, but they are so far behind the curve as Herald waddling his way to the top lane was enough to scare off Ornn.
Yep. This is a specific instance where, you know, you have a quantifiable example of the weight of somebody's mistake, and that weight is shown in gold. That is a massive gold lead for UA to have, and they're going to translate that into the second dragon of the game. So they're going to look to start stacking those, and right now, there is just nothing Pace can do about it. They are getting out-rotated, out-fought, out-damaged at every spot on this map, and what we thought might be a strong point for Pace to have some of the armor is just not mattering, and Nitro's going to wish he had even more, because he's going to go straight into the death chamber, gets the Lulu shield, but they're surely going to knock this one down. Dies before he can get the blast cone. That enchanted crystal arrow will go wide, but it doesn't matter. The jungler is dead, and they can look to continue to push these waves.
Yeah, they're just going to march on down into the mid lane, into the bot lane. They're going to leave Gwen on an island. Says, you know what, you can handle pretty much any pressure that goes. And we talked about the siege potential of the Caitlyn Triss. The depth charge onto the tower, the traps being set up as well. There's really no way Pace can kind of stop this.
Yeah, this is the siege that we were talking about. And now, Pace, they really need to do something here. They need to make this work. They're going to try and get Azareth if they can, but he's going to survive for now. Will drop eventually to the Ornn. What else can they get? It's only the one kill. And they don't give up anything more. They don't give up the turret. They make sure that they knock him down, so that shutdown gold goes over. I believe there was a small bounty on him. I may be incorrect. I may have missaw that. But they will be happy just to stop the siege temporarily.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he did. The man's been on 12 of the 16 kills here. Amazing early pressure, amazing just kill participation from the jungler. Love what we see here, as we thought Nitro would have the early aggression. You thought we would have it as, wait a minute!
Super Ben, he lived there for so long, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow is not going to matter. It was a brief kill, but honestly, I think in that case, it took more people to kill the Tristana, and she still came away with a kill. Nitro looking here, what else does he want? Wants to try and charge forward, but won't find any range to get on top of him. Yeah, I mean, Pace, they're trying to find ways to fight back, but it's so difficult for them.
They're trying, they're getting the pick here and there, right? But it is still like a 9,000 gold lead for UA here. They're just looking for some of these AD carries, these fragile AD carries to step up in the wrong place. They do have that like instant jump potential with Nitro's ultimate plus the Lucian and Echo follow-up here, but it's really rough. They have to eventually just look for like a really nice team fight or something like that, because they're just slowly bleeding out. UA is just taking everything on the map. Baron is up. They're setting up for that right now. They could just slap them with their wallet here.
Yeah, and that late game scaling that we had online for Pace that we were talking about right now, it just feels so much farther away. Like it's going to take them a long time to really get there. It is only the one item completed for Ornn. He's got that first upgraded item, but it's going to be a while before the other members of this Pace squad actually have enough of that gold invested from that extra upgrades that they get. Different difference right now. And, again, we highlighted one of the things that we were expecting was that the extra durability that Pace allegedly drafted was going to matter, but so far we just haven't seen it. And right now, this is a 4-man commit to try and knock down. They have to get something because on the top side, they are trading for Baron. The more time that he wastes, the better it's going to be. The anti-crystal arrow does not matter. UA will look to secure this Baron. No jungle on the top side means that this objective is essentially just free. So Pace will look to try and trade for the objective of the bot lane. But I think, honestly, if you're UA, you're fine with that trade.
Oh, Corellius is typing worth in all chat, right? He's saying send more, give my team Baron, as UA picked that up, and now the siege begins. It is more than likely that this team can just end off of one good team fight, off of one good push, because they have the double 80 carry composition ready to siege. Also, Gwen with the TP available as well can just split them apart.
Yeah. And I think you're seeing an example where, they really don't have any other choice. I think Pace are being forced to make these decisions. And, okay, do we give up this neutral objective or do we try and contest a Gwen in the bot lane? They did this horrific decision to have to make, but they're being forced in that position. Dragon is going to be in about another minute and 20 seconds. The Baron will not fall off in that time. So UA have plenty of opportunities to shove out these waves, knock down this top and bottom outer tier 2, make sure that Pace are pushed all the way in their base and look to take this next Dragon and say, okay, you have to come fight us. What are you willing to give up? And I think that in this case, Pace, they're going to have to make some pretty tough decisions on whether or not they leave their base or try and wait out for a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to kind of slowly close in onto Pace's base here, set the vision up, set any picks up. They have the Ash Arrow ready and locked and loaded, ready to fire onto anybody. And there's equal lockdown potential from UA, right? With the Maokai, with the Caitlyn traps. If anybody steps too far forward, we've seen Tumu is more than likely letting that Ash Arrow rip whenever it's up on cooldown, as they are going to take the safer route. They're going to pick up the Dragon most likely with one member and then look to push, but it's going to split them apart a little bit. There is a window for Pace to maybe get a pick on somebody.
Yep, and if we could get the spectators to kind of toggle the vision before this potential team fight breaks out, I want to highlight just how dark this map is for Pace and how little they actually see in this map because they have no wards. Look at that Dragon. They have one ward and a tri-bush. That's it. And they have 2 TPs available for it, but that's going to require them to make that move in the Fog of War sooner rather than later because UA, they're going to knock down this tier 2, and they're going to look to get the team fight. It's already gone off there, and Ornn is the first to fall. Nitro, he might be next. It's going to be the flash forward. Azrath wants to try and get a couple more. Wild Growth committed just to try and keep Lucian alive. They're going to knock down the inhibitor. No! Super Ben knocks him down. QE falls. The Baron of Power minis are going to start to do work as they're going to send one member to start off this Dragon. And UA, they are looking to put the final notes. They are looking to exit stage right with the win. It's 24 minutes. This might be another quick game. They're not even going to go for the Dragon. They're going to try and find the end.
Shredded.
It goes back.
Yeah,
they have the opportunity to end the Shibby. Can they end this?
Oh, they're going to push in potentially here. They don't have their front line available at the moment. They are kind of low. Tumu, unfortunate for the support. Going to get bullied here. They force the Echo back, though, and Horizon. Part of them probably wanted to, but they're taking the smart play. They said, you know what, we got the
They baited me. I got baited.
They're going to wait. They're going to cash the gold in. They're going to take the Dragon, and then they're most likely are going to push onto this top and mid lane.
With that Dragon secured, that means that Pace are now on drag points. That means from this point on, UA are in complete control of when and where the fights will happen. And now they have the pick of the litter too, same as they did the last game. It's like, okay, we've already got 3 Dragons. We can look to take a 4th Dragon. We can trade for Baron. We don't care. We have all the options. They're holding all the cards. And now Nitro trying to get what he can. Joe comes over the wall, but needs to be very, very careful. Doesn't see anybody else in the map, but Channel Crystal Arrow again going to miss. I think if we had I'd be interested to see what maybe the over-unders would have been betting-wise and whether or not those enchanted crystal arrows will hit, but regardless, it's such a short cooldown that it honestly doesn't matter. And so, Shibby, I feel like we have to ask, just to give it the benefit of the doubt, is Kaepernick may make a liar out of me? No, he manages to survive. Pace, I mean, what can they do to get back in this game, if anything? What options do they have available? Baron is not going to spawn for another couple of minutes. Drag is 4 minutes away. Is there anything that they can do to try and at least stall and equalize this game state or stop the bleeding to get to a point where they might be able to secure an objective or maybe a small team fight win over UA?
The ornaments, right? They got to get Ornn more levels. They got to start upgrading the items. That's really where you're going to get some of that hidden gold value. Kind of close this 9,000 or 8,000 gold gap. As now they're jumping in onto Caitlyn. This is one way to do it, Horizon.
That's going to be 300 gold straight into their pockets, and now it's the follow-up from the rest of UA. They're here, and they're ready to brawl. Careless is going to be the next to follow after Nitro, surely. This Capper Jack trying to put in the damage. He has the ultimate available to him. Careless starting to fall. He will be joining his friends in the death chamber now. That's going to be Capper Jack joining his friend. It's a double kill for the win, and now Rue has got to try and hightail it on out of there. He's 1 of 2 members remaining. Meanwhile,
look at
Tristana in that bot side. He's doing the damage. Is Lucian trying to survive? Tristana with the lower health bars right now, but Lucian needs to be very careful. Flash forward, Light Slinger picks up the kill, and that's the Tristana down. So they put a stop to the bleeding at least for a moment, but there's only 1 or 2 members there. And UA, they are pushing on the top side, looking to get this inhibitor.
Ben had the item lead and thought it was okay, right? He's like, all right, I can do this. I can fight this Lucian. Not knowing that's a crack in Navori. The burst coming out from this Lucian. We said it was going to be a problem if they got ahead. Right now, though, Pace are capitalizing on a lot of mistakes.
UA need to try and find a way out of this one. Nitro's going to follow Azareth over the wall. They're going to sacrifice Tumu yet again. He is 4-2-12 onto that Ashe. This may be their window. This may be the window. The death timers are going to be significantly long. 46 seconds on Azareth. Tumu is going to be down for 30-something seconds. The Baron is spawning now. All of the members are on pace. They are up. This is their opportunity to get back in this game. They can secure this Baron.
It's very risky, right? You still have a Gwen breathing down your neck. Caitlyn and Tristana are still also up in Nitro. Oh, Horizon, he tricked you.
Oh no, I thought even for a moment it was going to be possible, but Gwen breaks my heart with the snip. She's going to fall in the end, but it's still the jungler down, and that's going to be a polymorph going on top of Joe. Tristana's here, though. That's going to be ultimate committed, but it doesn't take him very far. Now Super Ben wants to follow. He does have the flash and the jump. No, he only had the jump. That was a really long jump. I thought that was flash. Wants to try and find Rue if he can. The ward's going to reveal, but the moment I praise Pace for getting a pick off, the moment that we think they just might be able to do something, the Gwen makes a liar of me.
Yeah, the over-aggression again. Super Ben's just like, you know what? I'm going to start this Baron by myself. I don't know if he has the lifesteal.
I think this is, the Azareth is here, but he's going to have to take that aggro mighty quick. Super Ben takes another shot. Oh, he's going to die. Oh, no, barely lives. He's going to hit the fruit. Oh, that was really low. He dropped almost perilously close to death, but managed to survive in the end. And now this is just going to be the Baron going over to UA. And oh, Pace. They had a moment. There was a flicker of hope. A moment that they might have been able to get into it, but UA, they shut that down. They shut off the lights, and they're going to try and close the door on Pace in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, the Baron taken away from UA. Dragon as well. If they opt in to take this Cloud Soul, is going to be a nightmare for Pace. You cannot get away from the Gwen. You won't be able to get away from the Maokai here. And there is so much move speed coming out on the side of UA. It'll be really rough. Can Pace turtle? Can they let this Ornn scale? Can they get the ornaments ready? Can they get a miracle team fight? Both AD carries are at 3 items. Lucian is pretty strong at the moment, as well as Echo opting in for that Rabadon as the fight breaks out.
Janet Cristaleo's going to land on top of Nitro, but he wants to go straight back in, and this is the team fight that Pace
Nitro!
must win. They've already got one down. That's a huge damage source for UA that is no longer there, but Azareth is not willing to go down without a fight. The Tristana puts in the work, and it's 2 kills already responded. Back in there, Q, he needs to try and get back in. The Polymorph does so much damage. Ornhorn committed. It's such a crazy fight, and it's a 2-on-2, but there's more damage available for UA, and they're going to stick it right into the back of Kuai. He's going to try and run, but he cannot go unstoppable. UA are not able to be killed this late into the game. The ornaments do nothing. They do nothing to stop UA, and now they're going to get this final drag.
They're going to get the Cloud Soul, and it was looking good for Pace. No Gwen, no problem. The moment she showed up, she demanded all the respect, all the attention, as she's going to snip this dragon away. And quietly, while we've been focusing on these 80 carries of UA, Horizon, this Gwen has 4 items.
This is where you start playing the Doom music, because she is fully, absolutely online and has a significant level lead over that Ornn. It is, I think he's level 16 level 16 to level Karis is level 17. Only one more level available for that Gwen to pick up, and she's going to be even more frightening, as that is it. She is max build essentially at this point. Nitro pops over. That's not your blue buff, my friend. You need to hightail on out of there, as he's can't get over the wall. No, and Joel even steals it. Oh, make sure that the Gwen doesn't get killed. They're even on it. He wants to try and show that he's better than his top laner. Oh, and Careless, Shibby, this should just be the end right now. They've got so much damage. They've got the Baron Power minions. They've got the items. They've got everything they need to close out this game.
They're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Pace here. All the siege, all the items, all the champions. As Nitro isn't even up, he's still down for another 25 seconds. This has to be the game-ending push. Triple inhibs are being taken. They're doing it by the book, Horizon. No mistakes made from UA during this ending game push, and the last fight is about to break out.
Pace, they need to find something to make this work. Their base is in shadows. There is nothing they can do to survive this. They must make something happen. The ult committed, but now it's going to be Camperjack going down, and it's just as quick as you please. The health bar's depleted, the hope's defeated, and there is nothing Pace can do. They're going to look to pad the stats. They're going to make sure they get them all, and they're going to put a clean into this game. UA, they win the series 2-0.
A quick 2-0, 24-minute game into a 32-minute game. Game 2 had a little bit more spice, had a little bit more zest, but in the end, Albany UA take the 2-0 victory. They stay undefeated, and they keep the momentum going.
Shibby, the more things change, the more they say the same. And, you know, Pace in that game, they were trying to change it up. They were trying to slow things down, trying to change the game plan. But at the end, it didn't matter. UA, they drafted a great comp. They played towards its strengths. They just continued to run at Pace every single chance that they got. And there was just nothing they could do. There were some moments, there were some brilliant moments where they were going to be able to try and fight their way back in. There's some hope at the Baron that maybe they could do it. But then that Gwen just put the needle in our hearts, stole all the hopes away and said, no, not today. We're going to clean 2-0 in this one.
Yeah, and just a really, really strong showing from Albany, right? The flexibility as well. Tryndamere mid, then Tristana. They took the Caitlyn Ashe. They also have the Maokai ready. I mean, Gwen as well. I mean, locking Gwen 2 games in a row, having both monster performances, having a little bit more trouble into the Cassante, but just showing that dominance. I mean, that's not something that can get ignored, right? You're drawing a Gwen ban now, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see where these guys will be as the weeks goes on, especially for this Albany squad. I think they had 2 tremendously good games. I think it'll be very interesting to see them take on some more challenging, obviously, teams as we go on. Obviously, Pace did play really well, but there was definitely a sense of getting outclassed in a lot of these team fights and a lot of the drafting that UA had. And so looking forward to the weeks to come. I'll be interested to see how well they do and track their progress. But speaking of the UA lineup, we will have an interview for you guys with the one and the only Ben, their bot laner down there. I think it was their bot. Their
mid laner.
Mid laner, sorry, their mid laner. There were a couple of people. There were 2 Bens on that one. There was a Jack and a Ben. Anyways, we will have a interview with Ben coming up after this one. So don't you touch that browser, because the victorious UA interview will be coming right after this.
And I think that's really, a key driver of why brands are in this space. They want to be part of building that future workforce and leadership and shaping it and supporting it. So, yeah, it's been a very interesting space to watch.
And we offer such a big, we offer such a big counterpart to traditional sports also, because it's a counterpart, but it's also the same, is what I'm trying to say. Because when you're traditional sports and they're done after their 2-a-day workout and they're done after their practice scrim, they're coming home to play Call of Duty and relax and put their feet up and get a drink and play video games. It grows their brain, problem-solving skills, and their hand-eye coordination while they're home. Hand-eye coordination, if you're a football player, massive skill. So it helps build those things while they're off the field. And then for us, vice versa, if you're an esports athlete, one of the errors I had growing up when I was competing in esports is that I was not active enough. I played sports, I competed a little bit, but I wasn't active enough truly when I look at it. So that's one area that esports players can learn from in terms of activity and physical and the marrying of both. People say, oh, sports and esports, video games. Not really. We're just kind of the tech industry's competitive form of competition, as to where traditional sports are more physical, hands-on. So I believe in the marrying of these 2 sectors and that they actually live together while also being counterparts.
Well, I think then to speak to something about marrying, right, from traditional to esports, that to me speaks to this whole new thing, at least again from you guys, right? You guys have more traditional sports background, right? Paul, Mike, and all of that. But I think let's talk NIL then, because I think that's something that I think is really interesting, that at least when I heard about it, right, of what we're trying to do with, esports athletes, schools, programs in general. because it wasn't something you would think normally, right? You could understand, right? Football player on the field, star quarterback. It makes sense, right? The guy is somebody that everybody knows on campus, whether you're on the team, off the team, or you're just going to the school. It makes sense. But I think nowadays it's not as common, or people don't think that they could be somebody that their name is out there, right? Or that they're known, right? As we're growing the space, as we're putting this together, it almost feels really interesting that your star entry in Valorant, or your star forward on Rocket League, right? Whatever the case might be, now they can have NIL deals. It's a thing out there, and I think, I don't know, maybe Mike, you want to start off, but
I think thank you for teeing that up. So I was talking for too long. I forgot to bring NIL into the mix, so it's a common occurrence, occupational hazard. So I would say that so NIL for I'm sure most of you watching understand what it is, but NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness, that term has been utilized to describe the transition of traditional student athletes, NCAA athletes, and their ability to monetize their name, image, and likeness. It went live July 1st, 2021, and it has continued over the course of the last nearly 14 months now. It's an interesting term because it's been co-opted to describe the NCAA's approach to student athletes being able to make endorsement money or be able to monetize any part of their name, image, and likeness. But it's been around forever, right? We've had athletes endorsing brands for over 100 years. Babe Ruth of the New York Yankees was endorsing brands 100 years ago, and it has continued onward from baseball cards all the way through now, where we have lots of different integrations of how influencers can monetize their followings. So what I would say on the traditional side is it's still a very young space. There are a lot of stories out there regarding NIL that tend to focus on the negative, or how out of control, I put in air quotes, it has gotten. But there is still a burgeoning marketplace for many more student athletes that are involved. About 17% of NCAA athletes are currently involved in NIL, but 65% more than that want to get involved and are curious how to get started. On the flip side, brands are challenged with a few different things in the space. There are 10,000 professional athletes in the United States. Once July 1st, 2021 hit, and you dump every NCAA athlete into that space, that's another 500,000. So brands that maybe didn't have a dedicated athlete strategy when there were 10,000 now have 500,000 plus that 10,000 to figure out how to activate who they are. That's a lot. I understand brands' hesitancy in some instances, but I can tell you that companies like us are on a daily basis educating brands and student athletes as to the software you can use, the types of activations you can get involved in, and how to utilize your followings, or if you don't have to or want to be a social media star, are there ways in which you can monetize it? Now, I know I described that under the umbrella of the NCAA, but I see it as being no different in esports. I think there are massive opportunities for people with followings to be able to use that and connect with brands. I think a company like us can help you to do that. And then beyond that, we can make sure that those transactions are safe for you. I think there are opportunities, not just at the individual competitor level, but at the program level to have a sponsorship go to that. I'm sure some of you out there listening and watching already have deals like that in place, but I think we can continue to enhance, augment those deals and make them more comprehensive and make them, first of all, I think product deals are perfectly fine, but I think we can get beyond that and grow some of these deals to a greater extent. Paulie, thoughts on that?
Yeah, what you said is right. So I'll put it in for layman's terms here for just the esports players, because I talk to so many of our athletes that compete in our CECC series that are currently still in college. And basically what when Mike Blewett says NIL, what he's referring to is just very simple. If a brand or any sort of anyone wants to use your school's name or your brand or anything with you, there is a deal for you that can be put in place, whether it's product deal, whether it's a paid endorsement.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Caster Desk. I am still Horizon. That is still Shibby, and we are joined by our very special guest. We are joined by Ben from the victorious Albany U. Man, how are you feeling after that victory?
I'm feeling really good. Yes, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. And I gotta let it rip right off the bat, Ben. The Tryndamere, the Tristana, the 80 mid lanes, you're taking some stuff that isn't naturally seen. I mean, what? Talk me through the absolute confidence it takes to run those picks into the mid lane.
Yeah, so me and my top laner, Leo, we're both top lane players. So it's really easy for us to flex these top lane champs like Tryndamere, Aatrox. They actually did ban Aatrox in the game 1. But Tryndamere is just like really like overpowered. And we know that the enemy mid laner will probably play an melee mid laner. So Tryndamere can just like, as you saw, like I can just dive him outright. Like if I have Ghost and I know that he's like immobile, or if he doesn't have like Flash, very, very free dive.
You just do whatever you want in that Tryndamere lane, pretty much.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Ben, one of the things I wanted to ask you after we saw that Tryndamere game was that we were talking about on the broadcast is what was the team environment like? What were the comms like when you're a Tryndamere and you're having that game where you're literally playing a character that is too angry to die? You're diving bot lane, you're getting double kills over and over again. You went and spent enough money to just buy the quick blades and half of a Lord Dominic's. Like, what is the team environment like in that moment where you've just like spent fat stacks and you're running in and just killing everybody?
I mean, I was feeling like I was on top of the world. Like, when you're fed as Tryndamere, you have Ghost, you have Kraken, you're unable to be peeled away, you're unkillable. I had so much tenacity from my runes. Like, it was just an amazing feeling. We were all feeling it, all 5 of us in the voice comms, and it was honestly such a great feeling.
And it seems like you guys are like a super flexible team, right? Like they banned the Tryndamere out in game 2. You're opting in for the Trist. You ran like a pretty much a completely different composition to your game 1. Do you value that as a team where like in this hectic collegiate kind of space, you want to be super flexible? Or are you more of a team that likes to be on the strict and kind of be on the like, here's our compositions, here's what we're going to run. If we get it, we'll roll you. Like, what do you guys as a team kind of value?
Well, that's kind of how draft is, right? Like you can't just stick to one team comp and expect to win every single game because eventually opponents are going to find counters to it. So I honestly prefer having a more flexible team comp because you can bend the draft into your favor, and that's just how you win more games.
Now, Ben, one of the things I wanted to ask you, we talked about this, especially on the drafting side, and I think that should be just rightly brought up, but you talked about these picks that, people have to be aware of. In terms of your drafting philosophy, are these specific picks, you talk about having the Gwen on the top side, the Tryndamere, that Tristana in the mid lane, are these things that you think are going to be strong meta-wise that you're seeing maybe in professional play or the semi-professional play, or are these things that are unique to the team that y'all will continue to bring out? And do you think that the meta is moving that way, or is it just local to you guys?
I think that it's kind of both because pro teams tend to be the more stricter type of teams where they say, okay, this is our draft plan. We're going to go in here. We're going to try to get what we want. And I find that there's very rare adaptations in draft. Like you don't see anybody playing Tryndamere mid into like melee. Even like you could play it into mages and still just outright dive them. But especially in like the eastern regions, like you see that. Like, even just yesterday, like, they were just playing the same 5 champions, like Kasanti, Azir, Gnar, Lucian, Nami, Zeri, Lulu. Like, you don't really, like, see that. Or you do see that, but, like, you don't really see any, like, adaptation. And I think that that's, like, part of the reason why, like, being flexible is better.
Well, Ben, we want to congratulate you once again on y'all's victory and improving to 2-0. We will be looking forward to tracking y'all's progress as it continues. Before we go, we want to give you the opportunity to shout anything out. If you've got a teammate, a friend, a family member, a pet, if you got anybody or anything to shout out, the platform is yours, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my whole team. It's been quite a ride. We have not lost a single game so far. And all of our wins have been extremely one-sided. I mean, you saw. I'd like to shout out Professor Lazinski for putting together all of this stuff you see around me. I'd like to shout out all my friends, and yeah, I guess that's it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the one, the only Super Ben from the victorious UA. Ladies and gentlemen, that is actually going to do it for us here on the broadcast. We want to thank you so much for spending the time to watch with us, with me, with Shibby, and everyone else that is part of this broadcast. We thank you so much for tuning in. And we want to encourage you to tune in again. And speaking of tuning in, you want to tune in next Monday, because what we have coming up is Rocket League and Super Smash Bros. Starting off our next week of broadcast. You don't want to miss that. And please, in order to catch that, you're going to have to follow us here on the stream and on Twitter at Esports U on Twitter. So please do that and follow, subscribe where possible to make sure that you stay in line with everything that we have going on. But once again, we want to thank you so much. So final parting words is make sure that you leave base with a couple of potions. Never go into that deep, dark, scary jungle without a friend. And as always, be good to one another. We want to thank you so much. And please have a great rest of your night.
When I talk to them, most of the, I won't say people, college athletes, they are, intimidated by the word. They don't really know what it means. They've never done anything with it before, and that's what it means. Any single time a brand or anyone at all wants to use your name or do a deal with you or do some sort of activation with you or your school, that's basically what the layman's terms, the NIL meaning comes from. And it's evolving in this space. There are so many brands that want to associate with micro and macro influencers and just get people involved with their products or their services. So all of you, collegiate athletes out there that are competing in esports, not only are we trying to broker those deals, but also keep your eyes, ears open, and don't be shy or scared to take these deals, because that's what I've heard the most, is that most of the time they're just scared to take them. They don't know what they are. They don't know if they're locking themselves into some agreement or terms that they're like going to give their name away or something too. So this is a really important space, and it's how you're all going to physically make money and build your brands along with company brands. So it's really important to learn, and my advice is to just get your feet wet. Don't worry about shying away. Read the contracts and take some of these deals, because growing your own brand is the future of what our industry is going to be, in my opinion.
Exactly. And if you follow in the pro space, you'll see that the pro teams are not only focusing on competitive play, but a lot of them are focusing on their brand and their cultural importance in the space. And so, one of the things that we do also is help athletes build their brand, build their following. And that's part of what Paulie and Kyler are doing on their side when we do this behind the scenes training. And so, building your brand, this is the creator economy. Anybody and everybody can be anything they want to be. And so we just really want to be the conduit that supports that across the board.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. With that said, thank you everyone for, I think, great insights in terms of, for any of you that were watching this and maybe had questions about, what is Esports U, what is CSMG, who are they, what are they doing, what are our plans, right? Well, we know we kind of tried to make a bigger splash in the spring, and we're excited to bring more stuff with you guys for the next year. But I think maybe as we close out here, I know we're slowly approaching on time then, but maybe let's go around the room with everyone here of just what's one thing that we're all excited for this next upcoming year. I know we touched on our plans and a lot of things, but if anyone had to speak, if you had to speak to just one thing of just what has you excited for us as a company, for us as the collegiate or college esports space, right? What's one thing that has all of you guys excited? And maybe we'll start with Mike, since our traditional sports guy, and we'll let Mike speak first.
Sure. So I would say many things on the traditional side, but I'll focus on esports. And I'd say the thing that I'm most excited about going forward is, after yet another year of us doing a round of events, I'm excited that more schools will understand exactly what we're doing with our regional events and culminating in CECC and getting more schools involved. I think schools will be more excited to compete in our events because we've established it over the course of a year, and I welcome any and all conversations with getting people involved.
I think for me, I'm most excited about like the schools and conferences. Mike, that's amazing. That's so exciting. I'm also excited about the brands that we're starting to be able to get involved in this. In our Commissioner's Cup in last May, we had over 14 brands, blue chip brands, participating in our event. Barbasol, Microsoft, CDW, Morgan Stanley, New Street, Air Force. And so I think brands are really starting to get excited about being involved in college esports, and we're offering them a platform that not only gives them, a big event, a big yearly event, but also regular daily programming where they can have exposure in front of this audience that they want to build affinity for with their brand. So I'm super excited about seeing the brands get on board and help grow the space along with us. A rising tide lifts all boats, and I think that's probably one of our mottos here at CSMG and Esports U. We're growing our brand, but at the same time, we're also really growing the college esports space as a whole. And that's our goal, for it to be a healthy ecosystem for all parties involved.
Yeah, I agree there. And I guess for me, obviously